Okay. Um. ah, Probably should increase the lighting here. Video. Camera control. Sure. Boom. Boom. Okay. All right. The life and suffering of Sir Bronte. And you? The carriage stops. The familiar gate. Your bedroom window. The same one you used to climb out of at night from time to time. The well-tended garden with its imported soil, delightful greenery, and mother's beloved violet iris. The porch you used to jump off of when you were little. You are home. You touch the handle of the front door and halt for a moment. It has been 4 years since you left for Eterna, but it feels like yesterday. The air inside is cool as usual. Father cannot stand a stuffy room and insists on constantly airing out the house. You hear hurried footsteps coming from the direction of Father's study. Before you have time to take off your traveling cloak, you are crushed in Stefan's strong embrace. Your brother has grown taller and more broad-shouldered. When he detaches himself from you, you notice how harsh his features have become. He looks even more like grandfather now. You have grown so much over the last 4 years, Ryan. Look at you. You left a low-born boy, but you've come back, Sir Brante. I'm so glad you've joined us in the noble estate. You respond by giving your brother a wrapped gift. Stefan unwraps it carefully when he sees the sort of boyish smile appears on his stern face. It's beautiful. What a wonderful gift, brother. Maybe I should start a collection, what do you think? There's no hurry, Stefan. And now let me have a look at the prefecture's new judge. Father approaches you, his hand extended. You shake it and wrap your arms around him. Father looks older, his back is hunched and he squints. There are deep lines around his mouth and silver threads in his dark hair and mustache. Taking a step back, Father examines you from head to toe. What fine posture. You had excellent teachers. I'm so proud you made it, son. Mother comes out of the living room leaning on Nathan's arm. You immediately see signs of the illness you read about in the letters from home. Her back is bent, her hair is gray, a thin web of wrinkles covers her face, and her complexion has lost its color. She can barely stand unassisted. Nathan leads Mother to you. Slowly, very delicately, she embraces you. You press your face into her shoulder, breathing in the nearly forgotten, dearly beloved smell. Mother holds your shoulders and studies your face for a long time. You've been away so long, son. How you've grown. Just a short while ago, I was cradling you in my arms. You look so much like your father when he was your age, Sir Ryan Brante. Nathan approaches you next. Your younger brother is now as tall as you are, and his hair almost reaches his shoulders. But he still has the same lost look in his eye he had when he was a boy. And here's your ne'er-do-well little brother. He hasn't changed a bit or grown an inch after all this time. He couldn't get into the seminary, so he just hangs around. Nathan lets out a heavy sigh and awkwardly puts his arms around you. So glad to see you back, Ryan. Home just hasn't been the same without you. You hear a snort behind you. Everyone turns. At the top of the stairs stands Gloria, her arms across her chest. She's dressed as a man, in culottes, a frock coat, and a necktie with a massive pin. The entire family waits for her to greet you. Stefan shakes his head disapprovingly. Your sister descends as if forcing herself to do it. A few steps away from you, Gloria stops and bows. Welcome to your home, Sir Brante. Your sister looks thinner and leaner than she used to. She has dark circles under her eyes as though she has been sleeping too little or crying too much. Enough pleasantries. Come on in, the table is set. Lydia has prepared a veritable feast for you. For the first time in years, the entire family is together. You can finally spend some time with another member of your family today. For Gloria. At the table, you try to ask Gloria about her life, but your sister dodges your questions. I live, I suffer, I help around the house, I know my place. Just like a low-born girl is supposed to. And keep silent, Gloria. Your brother doesn't care about the affairs of commoners anymore. Instead, why don't you tell us if you made any useful acquaintances, Ryan? Our family would benefit from some good connections right now. You have to relate the 4 years you spent in Eterna. Only later that night, when the family is getting ready for bed, you manage to have a conversation with your sister by the smoldering fireplace. You're sure, Gloria, that your noble title will not become between you. She is still your sister. Gloria casts a wary glance at you. So your sword and title haven't changed you after all? Giving in to her feelings at last, Gloria buries her face on your shoulder. You caress your sister's disheveled locks. I really hope you'll always be my brother, Ryan. Mother and Nathan and I, we all seem to be unwanted in this house. Sir Robert spends all his time at work, so Stefan has been running the household. It's taken a heavy toll on Mother. I can see her losing her will to live. You know, at her age, she might pass away forever and not be reborn. She had to endure a lot before she met Sir Robert, and her illness is consuming her. All Stefan cares about is getting the family ennobled by the sword. He'd sacrifice anyone for it. I'm worried the first thing he's gonna do is drive me out of the house so I won't take the Brante family name with my origins. I'm just an obstacle to him, a hindrance. You know, Ryan, I'm not sure how much longer I can tolerate this injustice. Times are changing. If I'm lowborn, that doesn't mean I'm going to serve the nobles until my true death. All over the Empire, commoners are fighting for their rights. Gloria suddenly cuts herself short. For a long time, you sit in silence, listening to the crackling fireplace. Brante family is about to face some challenging times. Okay. Your service as a judge begins today. You get dressed early in the morning, donning a brand new jacket with a cravat and hat. It's an immaculate look if you dare to say so yourself. You head to the prefecture with Father. The prefecture moved recently. It now occupies a massive new building of white sandstone in the very center of Anazat. A stone statue looms above it, the sword of the younger twin, the divine law that directs worldly judgment. All legal disputes in the province are to be resolved here. You and Father walk up the marble stairs past the commoners, merchants, and lesser nobles, all petitioners and litigants held by the pillars. Well now, my son, here you shall begin your service to the Empire, in the midst of the great struggle I told you about. If you don't mind a little advice, you will serve under Sir Elborn. Follow my example and stay close to your superior. He is a human of great worth and practically your relative. You walk past the courtroom and up to the second floor, where judges work in their offices and receive petitioners. The corridors are many and narrow, filled with the smell of old papers and the sounds of muffled, mumbling voices and secretaries and gendarmes running to and fro. Father guides you down a corridor that ends with a door to Sir Elborn's office. Ryan, it is time for you to stand before the prefect. Remember, friendship between our families. You knock and enter. The spacious oak-paneled office is not without decoration, yet its adornments are tasteful and elegant rather than garish. The flag of Magra bearing the silver tree hangs on the wall. Behind an imposing desk sits Baron Augustin Elborn, surrounded by papers. His face wears a focused expression you recall from his visits in the past, although it is more wrinkled than you remember. He looks up and his face comes to life. He rises and extends a hand to you. Why, young Ryan Brante, what a pleasure it is to see you again. I see your years at the capital have turned you into a stately young man. I was told you proved yourself quite capable at the college. The city of Anazant needs worthy judges who know their craft now more than ever. Allow me to welcome you into service for the good of the Empire. I'm sure you already know the basics of judicial work. Serving at the prefecture, however, takes more than finding your way through our laws, although they are quite labyrinthine and contradictory. There's no denying that. Anywhere you look in our province, you will see friction between the estates, old noble blood, new nobles, rich commoners, poor commoners. They all have their legal disputes. And we judges work here to make sure this pot never boils over. If we are too eager to follow the traditions of old and bow to noble privilege, the commonweal estate will grow desperate and lose all hope for freedom. But if we openly side with the commoners, the noble's ire will be quick to find us. And so, Judge Brante, I ask you to be wary and wise. Peace hangs by a thread in this province. Carefully consider every decision you make at court before rendering your verdict. But first, you need to get accustomed to your new position. You shall begin at once. The prefecture has already assigned you a number of legal proceedings to review and judge. Your office is ready and waiting for you, Sir Brante. The instructions are over. The work begins. You recognize your new office by the brass plate on the door reading Sir Ryan Brante, Judge. You find it rather cramped on the inside, yet still reasonably comfortable. The sturdy desk has all the stationery you need. Behind the desk is a large chair of carved wood, and in front of it are several smaller chairs for petitioners. Heavy curtains hang over the window, worthy opponents for the morning light trying to shine through. There are papers on the desk already, including instructions, orders, rulings, and all sorts of other prefecture paperwork. We're about to begin when you hear a sudden knock at the door. The source of the disturbance turns out to be a stout, smartly dressed nobleman. He greets you with an elegant bow you would not have expected from such a sizable individual. Carlo Fakgraben. What a fucking name, dude. What a fucking name. Sir Brante, congratulations on your first day of service. Allow me to introduce myself, Judge Carlo Fakgraben. A humble servant of the law like yourself, it is my hope that we will become fast friends. And now, if I may, a good word of warning to help your work progress smoothly. As a token of our future friendship, I am aware that Sir Arbonne is your immediate superior. As a loyal servant of the Empire, you will of course take his word as your guide. There is no reason to neglect all the other judges at the prefecture, all of whom are noblemen of great worth. Their guidance will most certainly aid you as a judge. It will be my pleasure, Sir Brante, to facilitate your introduction to the noble judges of the prefecture as soon as possible. I see glory in your future service to the Empire, yet it certainly cannot hurt to receive reassurance and support when you might need it most. I shall not detain you any longer, but if you wish to make some valuable connections, my office is right across from your own. Another elegant bow from Judge Fakgraben, and the door closes. You're alone at your desk once again. The scorching sun is rising over the province behind the window. Today is an important day, the day when you are to take your first steps in your new profession. What will you focus on today? Well, I forgot. Huh. Get acquainted with the judges. Sir Fakgraben's offer seems rather reasonable now that you think about it. You dedicate some time to the cases and necessary paperwork, then shift the case folders aside and walk to the office across from yours. Judge Fakgraben greets you warmly. Sir Brante, how splendid of you to stop by. Come, let us pay a few visits to the most distinguished of your new colleagues. I'm sure they will be delighted to make the acquaintance of such a promising young man. With that, Fakgraben leads you through the corridors of the prefecture. As you walk down the hall, he starts mentioning other judges by name and origin, age and experience, power and influence. You stop by a number of other judges' offices. Hours pass in dignified greetings, bowing, pats on the shoulder, and courteous conversation. One after another, the judges make it quite clear to you that when a noble and a commoner clash in the courtroom, the court is to side with the noble every time, no matter how affluent the commoner may be. Only when both parties hail from the common estate may a judge fully rely upon the rule of law. And before you know it, your first day at the prefecture is over. Just look at how much you've accomplished in just one day, Brante. So many experienced judges, and you've made a splendid impression on all of them. Your future is all but assured now, I guarantee it. But remember, courteous words are not the only thing that matters at the prefecture. Your decisions will not go unnoticed. Ryan, my friend, I greatly hope your youthful exuberance will not result in any gaffes that may hinder our mutual effort at maintaining order in our province. Act with wisdom in mind, especially when the wisdom of your colleagues is always within reach. You say farewell to the elegant, affable judge and walk to the carriage outside awaiting to take you home. With so many useful acquaintances made at the prefecture today, your career will surely prosper. However, there is a burden of expectation upon you. They want you to fall in line and side with noble privilege without a second thought. However, the conflict between the noble and common estates is growing tenser by the day. It will only become harder to uphold the law in the future. Aya, Tarada. You come back home after a short stroll through the city. As soon as you set foot in the house, you are greeted by Stefan, who invites you to have a talk in Father's office. When you enter the room, Father has a heap of letters in front of him and is signing them one after another. Done. Stefan and I must discuss an important matter with you. While you are in the capital, our family formally petitioned the overseer to grant us the nobility of the sword. We have 3 generations of noble blood already. We have the right to make it our nobility hereditary. Your grandfather took the first steps towards the nobility of the sword as soon as Stefan was born, and now we are on the brink of becoming the Brantes. If Overseer Gaius Tempest and the nobles of the province deem us worthy, we will receive a hereditary title. All nobles of the Brante family will remain noble forever, as will their descendants. Father and I do our utmost to maintain the family's position, but our goal can be reached only if our reputation remains unblemished in the eyes of high society. Nobility is watching our every step. Father lays a hand on your shoulder. Now this is your cause too. The future of our family depends on it. We need an estimable reputation and wealth. Everyone bearing the name of Brante affects it. Remember that with every action you take, Ryan. You'll have to appear before Anazot High Society. We're going to host a reception for the nobility at our home soon. You must uphold the honor of our family, brother. You'll relate the news from Eterna to our guests and present yourself in a favorable light. With Stefan at the helm, the entire family spent a full week preparing for the majestic reception. The house is flooded with decorations and new tableware. Delicacies are cooking in the kitchen around the clock, and the napkins now bear an embroidered oak branch and in chains. The Brante family crest. Gloria is the only one to neglect the common cause. Were it up to me, I wouldn't be seen at this hypocritical gathering. But I don't want to let Sir Robert down. He's the only reason I plan to stay for the event. The evening of the reception has come. Dignified conversations and the clinking of glasses fill the house. Among your guests are many high-born, powerful people. Your father and Stefan dance from guest to guest, making sure no one is overlooked. Young Ryan, how splendid to see you. So what was your time in the capital like? You exchange pleasantries with the high-placed relative. Meanwhile, Gloria and Mother spend the evening on a settee by the wall without drawing any attention. Neither your father nor your elder brother introduced them to the noble guests. Still, one of the guests, a young nobleman of the sword named Jose El Pelletier, keeps staring at Gloria in fascination. Your sister averts her eyes, bemused. Lady Gloria, you are the true gem of the evening. You look so marvelously daring. I haven't seen your like even in the capital. When you walk past Gloria, you hear her hurried whisper. Please talk to me. Mr. El Pelletier keeps following me. I feel uneasy. What does he want from me? I'm just a lowly commoner. Moves me to the other side of the room, although I'll probably still stand out among all these refined nobles. Look, it's Brante the painter. I wonder what's brought him so far from the capital. It would be fabulous if we could paint our family portrait. We'd all be on canvas together. We're one big happy family after all. Wine glass in hand, you cast a look across the crowded room. It is time to choose how you will spend the evening. Ooh. I think we'll share the news. Yeah. The moment you approach Stefan, he links elbows with you and leads you to the most prestigious place by the table, where the most eminent of the guests are seated. May I present to you my younger brother, Ryan Brante. He's just returned from the capital. Ryan, why don't you entertain our guests with the latest news from Eterna? You make a courtly introduction and describe recent noteworthy events in the capital. The celebration of the heir's coming of age, the attempt by Gaius Tempest to enshrine in law the rights of nobles of the mantle, Patriarch Luke's sermon. The nobles inquire about the customs and sentiments of the capital. Is it true that the wealthy commoners of Eterna do not acknowledge the authority of the nobility, or that the adherents of the new faith openly denounce the lots? You describe the state of affairs in the capital in a delicate manner so as not to antagonize your guests. Yes, there are plenty of liberties taken in Eterna, but you can attest to the fact that the Empire still rules with a firm hand and maintains order. More and more listeners gather around you. They plunge into a heated discussion. Will this wave of change reach our province? What awaits our homeland under the rule of the new overseer Gaius Tempest? The guests agree that the nobles of the province have some tough times ahead of them, but worthy families like the Brontes give them hope. Excellent, brother. You have shown yourself and our family in a favorable light. Moreover, you managed not to distress our guests with alarming news. The night was a success. The Brante home has been uneasy for several months now. With father traveling all over the province for his judicial duties, the animosity between Stefan and Gloria has grown into a full-blown feud. Your elder brother tries to use his position as heir to keep his sister in check and make her behave in accordance with her state. Gloria repudiates her authority. Their fights rock the house on a daily basis. Eventually, after returning from his latest trip, father gathers Stefan, Gloria, Nathan, and you in his office. His somber look portends a difficult conversation. Stefan gazes at his father defiantly. Gloria is poised to lash out and run away. Nathan quietly keeps to the side. Children, for a long time now, our family has been striving to become nobles of the sword. Every noble member of the Brante family will gain a hereditary title. This was your grandfather's dying wish. Gloria sighs loudly. And why am I here, Sir Robert? He's right. This is a Brante matter. Wait until I finish, Stefan. I am still the head of this household. If you are truly so concerned about honor, show your father some respect. It cannot be helped. Not all of us are noble. But now we must be united as never before. We must work together to protect the reputation and wealth of this family. But you, Stefan, perpetually humiliate Gloria. Father, all I'm trying to do is put her in her place. You know perfectly well the consequences of any attention Gloria might attract. Our every step is being observed. The nobles will make pariahs of our family for all eternity if they remember Gloria's filthy origins and your reckless marriage to Lydia. Father turns red in the face, but with considerable effort he remains composed. That is so. Our grandfather did everything in his power to remedy your mistakes. Please, Father, don't repeat them. Gloria speaks up. I'm just trying to live, Sir Robert. But Stefan wants to lock me in a cage so nobody will ever lay eyes on me. That's not it at all. You're lowborn, but you don't live by your lot. You do whatever takes your fancy. You're constantly grumbling about the order of things. Did you know, Father, that she defies all prohibitions by continuing to write poetry? As far as you're concerned, anyone who contradicts you is an insurgent. When will you grasp the idea that you may not argue with a nobleman? I am the heir of this family, and my word is law. Purple with rage, Father slams his fist on the table. It is rare to see him so furious. Both your elder brother and sister instantly fall silent. Frightened, Nathan shrinks into a corner. Hold your tongues, both of you. Let Ryan speak. He has witnessed your quarrels. He should know best which of you is in the right. I think that needed like a comma. Yeah, we'll send Gloria to Valona. That seems like the best one. You take a conciliatory tone. You note that the tempers are running too high. Your siblings would benefit from spending some time apart. They need to cool off, then try to settle their differences. From what you hear, the town of Valona in the southern part of the province is an excellent resort with healing springs. What if Gloria took a vacation there for a month, improve her health, and have some rest by the sea? Gloria shakes her head hesitantly. Are you trying to get rid of me, Ryan? So I won't be in your way? What am I supposed to do at some twins forsaken spa? You patiently explain to Gloria that she'll be able to enjoy some reading, find inspiration in contemplating the waves, and ponder on her future. And then when she comes back, she and Stefan will calmly discuss their issues. Finally, Gloria gives in. A trip to Valona will be costly. I'd like to know who will pay for it. Speaking first and foremost to your father, you argue that peace in the family is worth any expense. The two of you should indeed spend some time away from each other. Let it be as you suggested, Ryan. Gloria, start packing. Stefan, please send a note to Valona to hire a carriage for your sister. Gloria reluctantly heads off to the coast. This trip forces the family to spend a hefty sum. But without the constant bickering of your brother and sister, the tension at home quickly dissolves. With no need to keep an eye on Gloria, Stefan devotes himself to Anazat's social life. Gloria returns surprisingly serene. After a month in Valona, her temper has mellowed for a time. She's engrossed in her own affairs and does not draw her brother's ire. Or becoming quite the manipulator. It is the morning of a very sultry day, and you are back at the office. You are beginning to get used to the duties of your new profession. Father visits you on the job now and then to see your progress and provide advice, but by now he is confident you can handle the work on your own. Today is your first case, assigned by the prefect himself. From the comfort of your chair, you go through the facts and circumstances of the case. The matter seems simple at first. Seeking some desperately needed financial gain, a noble from the less than wealthy El Avila family rented out a sizable portion of his estate to a well-off commoner by the name of Basil Young. All the rent payments are in order, and there's plenty of time left before the lease is set to expire, but the commoner built a large dye works on the estate, and then El Avila suddenly filed a case with the prefecture to evict him. The rental agreement specifically states that Commoner Young has the right to construct any building on the land. The noble landowner, however, thinks he has the final say on any construction since the land belongs to him. Basil Young, on the other hand, has refused to vacate the rented land since the term of the agreement has not expired. Both parties are to appear at the prefecture to hear your decision. The litigant, Sir El Avila, enters first. He is an aging noble who dresses far too colorfully for his years. He walks into your office with confidence and sits in front of you. The next man to enter is Basil Young, a heavy-set man with a thick beard, clothed in an old jacket and clutching a hat. He stands by your desk and bows to you. Sir El Avila does not hesitate to speak first. Your Honor, I demand you drive the Commoner Young from my land. His dye works is a noisy, nasty, ugly building, and I refuse to have it on my property. My family already had to endure the warehouses and the filthy workers right by their own estate. But this is simply beyond the pale. Either the court says the dye works must be demolished, or I, Gustave El Avila, will do it myself. You ask Sir El Avila to compose himself and tell the commoner to give his statement. Basil Young gives his account, speaking in a deep, rough bass. Your Honor, it cost me all our money to build the dye works. The contract says it clear. I got the right to build anything on the land during my rental period. And Sir Avila didn't say a word at first, but now he up and demands we demolish it. My family will be ruined. That's not gonna happen, I say. Sir El Avila screams at him in return, outraged by what he calls his cunning trickery. The bearded Basil Young disagrees again and again, his pudgy finger pointing at the clause in the agreement. It is noon already. The sun is so hot, even the air itself seems to melt away. This is your first case ever. It is time to deliver your verdict. Oh, shit. Right to terminate the rental agreements. Ooh, man. The family gains. Here, the family doesn't lose reputation. Kinda want to keep. Ooh. Money. You ask Sir El Avila to wait in the hall. Annoyed at your words, the nobleman demands to be present at every stage of the litigation. But as luck would have it, you are quite adept at persuasion. Now, alone with Basil Young, you offer him a secret deal. This case is far from cut and dry, and its facts and circumstances could be swayed in either direction. You are, however, ready to side with the dyer and protect his agreement, but you expect your efforts to be well compensated. Young is vexed at first. He groans as he looks you over, adding up all the expenses. But soon Young's gruff bass reaches your ears. He agrees. I never thought the law would protect me here in this place. Guess there's no other way for me. I gotta accept this expense to avoid utter ruin. You ask El Avila to come back in, then deliver your verdict. As the rental agreement clearly states, Basil Young has the right to use the aforementioned lands belonging to the El Avila family until the year 1150, and construct any buildings on the aforementioned lands. Basil Young's use of the land is not in violation of the agreement, and therefore he must not be evicted, and the dye works will remain. Any attempt to drive him off or demolish the building will constitute a breach of law. How dare you? This is my own land, and I can do whatever I want with it. It is my right, I can rent it out, and I can take it back just the same. And your puny little papers mean nothing to me. If you refuse to resolve this peacefully, Your Honor, why, I'll just put the damn tieworks to the torch. Do you have a response to that? If Young's property should come to harm through El Avila's actions, the nobleman will provide recompense for all damages and pay a fine to the Emperor. The law of the Emperor is the Emperor's rule. Nobles and commoners alike must obey the law in equal measure. Your words are tactful but unyielding. The nobleman has no chance. His face pales with rage. Sir El Avila spits out a goodbye through clenched teeth and walks away. That was brave of you, Sir Brante, stopping him like that. Thank you so much. Guess coin means justice nowadays. I get it. We have a deal then. I'll send you a portion of the income for the dieworks next year. The other judges soon learn of your verdict. With your very first case, you have caused quite a stir at the prefecture. Most judges would not have even deigned to hear the commoner's statement. Yet you defied noble privilege and enforced a lawful agreement against a nobleman. An ill omen for the other nobles, but a sizable source of profit for your own family. We're doing to be a manipulator. We're gonna be fucking manipulating the politics. We're gonna be stealthy little boy. Two powerful lords have been struggling for power. Two powerful lords have been struggling for power in Magra for over 2 years now. The new overseer of the province, Gaius Tempest, cannot seem to rein in the obstinate spirit of Archduke Tarquinius Milanitis. Unwilling to accept that he is no longer the overseer of Magra, the Archduke still stubbornly continues to assert his right to rule the province. Most of the Magran gentry who swore allegiance to him generations ago remain loyal to him even now. Gaius Tempest has publicly demanded that the Archduke recognize the overseer's rule as legitimate. I am the voice and the will of the Emperor Uther II in the province of Magra, all lands, deeds, and titles notwithstanding. Archduke Milanitis must obey his sovereign's will and heed his decree. I hereby extend to the Archduke an offer of peace. Should the Archduke cease his insubordination, his lands, deeds, and titles shall remain his own. The Archduke's response to the overseer was openly defiant. Since the days of yore, the land of Magra has belonged to the Milanitis dynasty. We are part of the Empire, and we are the Emperor's loyal servants. However, our dynasty will not stand for such intrusion upon our lawful rights and privileges. Never before has an Archduke been stripped of his right to represent the Emperor's rule in his own province. Though do not forget, Sir Overseer, that the highest noble families of Magra have sworn fealty to me alone. Neither the Archduke nor the Overseer will relent, but both are too powerful to be readily disposed of. Bad blood between the two opulents has festered for too long, and the common people have begun to pay the price for their strife. Stripped of the overseer's tax privileges, the Archduke Milanitis has decided to impose his own levy upon the citizens and villagers of Magra. The commoners are now forced to pay taxes twice, first to the overseer and then to the Archduke. This double burden is too much for the common people of Magra to bear. Many have refused the second tax outright as a lawless measure, but the Imperial Legion led by young Dorius Arton is ruthless. Eagerly and without mercy, the Legion soldiers collect the Archduke's due in cities and villages alike. This last year has been an ordeal for your family. The pains taken to be ennobled by the sword, the close attention of the city aristocracy, the squabbles between Stefan and Gloria. Tonight, your preoccupied father has gathered the entire family around a table in the backyard. The sun has almost set and there is a soft breeze. But instead of a meal in the open air, you are going to attend a family meeting. In the middle of the table, you see an open gilded box. It is full of jewels. Archduke Milanitis himself has bestowed this gift upon us. It is a surprise indeed. I thought you all had a right to know. Father unfolds a letter lying beside the box. So, Robert Brante, I bestow this precious box upon you and your family as a symbol of the care with which I treat the people of my province. Pray accept this gift and remember with whom the loyalty of the true nobles of Magra lies. Archduke of Magra, Tarquinius of the Milanitis. The family stares in amazement at the jewels sparkling in the last rays of sunshine. It's worth quite a fortune. But the Archduke is fully aware that I am on the side of Prefect Albon and Overseer Gaius Tempest. You really expect our loyalty to be bought so brazenly? On the other hand, the Archduke is not demanding anything of us, and our family has borne a lot of expenses recently. Father, no one is forcing you to side with Milanitis. Who are we in comparison to the Archduke anyway? We must not anger him by refusing his gift. The jewels are certainly welcome. They are worthy of being shared with the best families of Anazan. They'll pave our way to the nobility of the sword. Mother shakes her head glumly. Oh, Robert, I have a feeling this gift bodes ill. It may be an impertinence on my part, but I do not want our family to be indebted to the Archduke. Certainly not. Accepting gifts from Leonidas? He's infamous for oppressing the commoners and robbing villages blind with his taxes. This isn't your decision, Gloria. It's a matter of our family's honor and reputation. Please don't stop bickering again. Let Ryan say what he thinks we should do with this gift. You are the center of attention now. Your vote will be the deciding factor. If we sell the jewels, we lose unity. But we gain a bunch of fucking wealth. Decline it. Our willpower. We lose favor with the Archduke. Gain valor. We give the jewels to prominent nobles. Yes, that is the best decision. That's the best that's the right decision for our character right there. We're a scheming motherfucker. And diplomatic at that. More scheming, huzzah! You agree with Stefan. A gift from the Archduke is not to be refused. It would be better to use it for a more important goal. Obtaining the nobility of the sword. You and Stefan will determine when, how, and to whom the gifts will be given. I'm inclined towards the same solution. Let it be so. I'll send a note to the Archduke expressing our humblest gratitude, but I'll point out that I don't mean to change sides. I still serve my prefect and my overseer. Oh, God. Be careful, Father. The Leonidas house is not to be trifled with, but the Archduke will have nothing to reproach you with. Ryan and I will put the jewels to good use. You and Stefan spend the next couple of weeks arranging meetings and attending receptions and feasts. You discover that you are on par with your brother in your understanding of the nobility of Anazat, including their relations and their quirks. The generous gifts and the refined manners your brother and you display before the aristocrats allow your family to rise in their esteem. There is but one disadvantage. You do not have a single coin tucked away in the family treasury. I am now received in elite circles. Well, I mean, that's a little wrong, though, in that... Because our family has moderate means still. You have just completed your first year of service at the prefecture. Several days after your second year begins, there is a knock at the door. You look up from your paperwork and tell the visitor to come in. Sir Elborn's secretary slips inside quietly. The prefect has an important matter to discuss with you in his office. Augustin Elborn looks weary and aged, but he greets you with his usual characteristic warmth. You take a seat in the comfortable chair across from him. Sir Elborn asks his secretary to pour you and him some wine. Sir Brante, good to see you. I hope the judge's trade is coming easily to you now. I must admit, I've been watching your first cases closely. You have already had to resolve a rather difficult land dispute between a commoner and a noble. We will see even more litigation of this kind in our province in the future. Now, it's time for you to answer an important question. In this great dispute between the two estates, where will you stand as a judge? Take a look around you. Life in the Empire as we know it is changing. It is our duty as nobles and judges to make peace between all the estates on the basis of the law. However, the prefecture faces a great hindrance in its pursuit of this goal. Many nobles are still determined to abide only by the traditions of old, especially the Ocnians. For those nobles, the only law above them is the Court of Honor, where noble ranks and duels decide everything. They reject the jurisdiction of the prefecture and outright defy the newer laws and regulations of the Empire. This is to say nothing of what happens when an Ocnian has a dispute with a human commoner. Some Ocnians would rather cut a human down then and there than waste time on what they see as pointless litigation, even though the law says that all the Emperor's subjects have the right to a fair and just trial. One of the most flagrant violators of the law is Dorius Houghton, the commander of our province's military. You've encountered him before, haven't you? That Ocnian nobleman is a notorious duelist. Anyone who crosses his path risks insulting his honor. His sword has ended the lives of many human nobles, not to mention all the commoners who have been unlucky enough to run afoul of him when he was bored. Surely you realize, Brante, that we are the only ones who can protect those people. The lowborn lot forbids a commoner to arm himself, and even those who would rather defy their lot have no chance against Dorius Houghton, one of the most skilled Ocnian swordmasters. Houghton cannot be allowed to commit murder with impunity. We have to stop him and all the others who act as he does. Imperial law must prevail over their barbarous traditions. But as of now, I have no authority to put Houghton on trial. Our province still abides by the old traditions, and humans are powerless against the dynastic power of the Ocnian aristocracy. Putting an Arcanian on trial for his crimes would be unthinkable at best. We have to work gradually to change this, Brante. I need you as an ally. What we have to do is strengthen the power of Imperial law in Magra, so that eventually everyone will respect the law, from humble beggars to highborn Arcanians. We must show everyone that the law is not a noble instrument of oppression against the common folk. Like the divine law, Imperial law must stand above all, with no regard for birth, rank, or title. This is why I have decided to address you today, Sir Ryan Brante. Side with the law, side with your father and myself. Side with justice in every case always, no matter who stands trial before you, be they lowly commoner or noble elite. With enough precedents, we will put an end to highborn tyranny and ensure that the law is respected throughout the province. But I must warn you, even here at the prefecture, I am not all-powerful. Many judges oppose my point of view, not openly, at least not yet, but I am certain they will work against us in the shadows. Now, Brante, what is your answer? Are you ready to side with me and change our province for the better? Are you prepared to support me against the high-handed gentry and defend the common folk from the likes of Dorius Auten? Side with him. We're siding. You nod energetically, determined to support Elborn and bring nobles and Arcanians under the rule of Imperial law. You realize the risks, but for the future of the Empire and its subjects, you are willing to face them. You seal the promise with a handshake. The prefect leans back in his big chair and points at the glasses full of wine. I never doubted you, Brante. With your potential and youthful zeal, nothing will stop us. And now a toast to the triumph of law in Magra. Your glasses clink melodically. Prefect takes a sip, then puts the glass down to instruct you further. Remember to be cautious. Between the powerful nobles and many other judges of the prefecture, there will be no shortage of enemies on this path. There will be times when I will be unable to help you. My own position is too unstable as it is. But please, do not draw too much of their ire. Letting their wrath reach you is the last thing I want. Last but not least, we mustn't be hasty. If we move too fast and enforce the law against the nobles too soon, they might take up their swords as they have before. We have to prevent an uprising and avert bloodshed. At all times, be just, but also wise and alert. I'm glad to see you on the side of justice. I'm counting on you, and you can count on me in return, Ryan Brante. May luck be with you in service to the Empire. You return to your office, your desk covered with endless paperwork as always. At first glance, nothing has changed, but now you realize the great and important cause working quietly behind your daily grind. Deep in thought, you sit at the desk once again. What fate awaits you in service to this cause? We're a fucking schemer, boys. We're a fucking schemer. An old friend, who could this be? Night is falling over Anazant. The stifling heat gives way to an eagerly anticipated freshness. After a day at work, you stroll home at a leisurely pace. You turn down a side street that you've known since you were a little boy. It is as if your legs are acting of their own accord, bringing you to the place of your childhood play, the remnants of the wooden fort. So much has changed since the days when you used to play here with your little friends. Engrossed in your memories, at first you failed to notice that you are not alone here. A tall figure in the uniform of a Legion officer approaches you. You see unruly brown hair and a twinkle in his eye. It is Thomas. Now that's a surprise. Hi, Brante. Fancy running into you the moment I'm back in town. Your childhood friend puts his arms around you. Our battalion got transferred here recently. We're under the command of the Magra Legion now. I'm keeping the peace and maintaining order in my very own province. Oh, why don't we catch up? Let me buy you dinner. We'll have a little chat, remember the old days. Thomas cuts himself short. You suddenly notice how much older he looks. His face has become sharper and rougher, and his eyes are filled with exhaustion rather than their usual mischievous sparkle. I should warn you though, Ryan. I ain't the best company nowadays. I've managed to get myself some powerful enemies already. I'm a friend who could taint your good name, so if you'd rather not be seen with me, well, I understand. As my honest face starts to fade. Ooh, we lose reputation? No, but because... Yeah, because we're fucking bound by friends. I can't back out. Let's go have dinner, boy. Let's have that dinner. You give Thomas your hand. You shake hands firmly. So you haven't forgotten your old friend, Brante. That's the way it ought to be. Well, come on then. You go to a tavern reminiscing... That's loud. You go to a tavern reminiscing about your childhood antics on these very streets along the way. You choose a table in the far corner of the tavern. Thomas orders a bottle of good wine and some food. You talk about your latest case, about your first years back at Anazant. You share family news, your quest to become nobles of the sword, the quarrels between your elder brother and sister, your mother's health. Thomas nods with concern. Sounds like you've had some tough times. Your family has always been different. Mine, on the other hand, is the same as it ever was. My pa's always in his workshop and my ma's always doing chores, but look at me. I came home a service-class nobleman, although it doesn't bring me much joy anymore. Thomas is suddenly grim. You ask your old friend to share his troubles with you. He quickly glances around the room and lowers his voice. Well, I'm a captain in the Mogren Legion now. And who's our commander? His Excellency Dorius Houghton. That's right, I serve under the very same Archaean whose toes I stepped on back in Eterna. You better believe he remembers me. I'm afraid things are gonna end real bad. But hey, I'll figure it out somehow. Don't trouble yourself over it. Apart from that, well, it's the usual service. We impose order in uppity towns and villages, protect the province, that sort of thing. And we run drills all day long, obviously. If only you knew how sick I am of them barracks, Ryan. I've thought about starting a family. My ma keeps telling me to find a nice girl to marry. She says it's high time I get hitched. It is completely dark and you are still talking. Finally, Thomas remembers that his parents are waiting for him. You get up from the table, leaving some dirty dishes and quite a few empty bottles behind. On your way out, you catch a glimpse of a nondescript figure while following you to the door. As you walk alongside Thomas through your home neighborhood, you keep glancing over your shoulder, but the shadow that was following you has disappeared. You reach your street and stop for a while, in the semi-darkness between your family homes, just as you used to all those years ago. Bye, Brante. I hardly ever come to Anazat these days. Our battalion is always on the march all over the province, but twins willing, we'll see each other again real soon. You advise your friend to safeguard his every life. Okay, so we cannot go above 30. Your first year at the prefecture has come to an end. You are not a young student anymore. You know now that a judge's trade means so much more than knowing the law and carrying it out. Resolving a litigation of any importance requires striking a balance between the code of law, high society's opinion, and the whims of the provincial powers that be. Your second year is beginning and it feels much tougher already. Trampled by the nobles, the commoners seek help and so they turn to the law. They turn to you. The carriage takes you through the silver district of Anazat. It is early morning and you have just received a letter bearing the seal of the city hall. Ramiel Vermin, the magistrate of Magra himself, wishes to see you at once. The mere sight of the magistrate's invitation is enough to make you scowl. This is no doubt about your newest case regarding the Quorum Gazette, which may spell trouble for everyone involved. The provincial legislature, the Lesser Quorum, governs the volume and distribution of taxes in Magra. After a new law created by the Emperor's own brother Cornelius Tempest several years ago, commoners of considerable wealth were granted representation in the Quorum on par with the nobility, thus forming the Lesser Quorum. Now the representatives of the lowly estate have founded a newspaper of their own, and this Quorum Gazette, distributed all across Anazat, fervently argues for commoners' rights in provincial news governance. The man behind the newspaper is Mayor Eggman, a well-off industrialist and owner of several silver mines, and it was his article and his demands that brought about this litigation. You take out a newspaper and read Eggman's article printed within. It addresses Imperial Overseer Gaius Tempest directly. We demand that Sir Overseer Gaius Tempest cease his habitual disregard for our meetings. From Emperor Uther II, we receive the lawful right to assemble and sit in the Lesser Quorum. And we say to the Overseer, our voice must be heard. Our message must be accepted. The carriage stops in a square by a luxurious building. This is the City Hall, where Imperial officials manage all domestic and economic matters of Anazat. You are escorted up a long, winding staircase to the door of the magistrate's office. You now stand before Ramiel Vermin. The magistrate maintains a haughty bearing in spite of his venerable age. His face bears the sharp, proud features so common among the old aristocracy. Ah, yes, Sir Judge, you are from the Brante family, I believe. I appreciate your prompt arrival. I'd rather not waste your time and get right down to business. The matter for which I called you here is urgent indeed. You are judging a case against the newspaper by the Lesser Quorum, are you not? I've had a torrent of complaints against it from the most venerable members of the Quorum. They say Mayor Eggman has insulted Gaius Tempest, our overseer and an Archaean from the Emperor's own great dynasty. And I say they're absolutely right. The Empire gave those uppity commoners a hand in managing the province's very well-being, which is already a violation of their lowly lot. But no, that wasn't enough for them, it seems. You've earned the mantle only recently, Sir Brante, but you must realize that this is an affront to the honor of the entire nobility. I expect you to do your duty as a judge and immediately find a pretext for shutting down their pathetic gazette. Alborn, your prefect might think otherwise. However, Sir Brante, if you exercise enough wisdom and cunning, I am certain you will realize which position is most beneficial to you, With your youth and potential, it'll do you good to have powerful friends on your side. I'm sure you will reach the only appropriate and just verdict when closing this case, and I hope you will be duly judicious. For now, farewell. You return to the prefecture lost in thought. Sir Alverman is right. Your word is all it will take to shut the Lesser Quorum newspaper down. As a judge and a nobleman, you do not even need a reason. The people running the Gazette are mere commoners, no matter how wealthy they might be. There was no breach of law, however. Mayor Egmont's article simply requested that the overseer of Magra hear what the Lesser Quorum has to say. You can reject the nobility's complaints and thus show the commoners they may rely on the prefecture's justice. But Sir Alverman and many fellow judges will be outraged. Father learns that the case has been assigned to you. He visits you and offers some advice. You're in quite a predicament now, son. If you try to appease one party, the other will be furious. Wouldn't you rather see if there's any way to make peace between them? We could host a party at our estate and invite both Mayor Egmont and the noble elders from the quorum. If you are successful at diffusing their quarrel, no one would object if you decide to legitimize the Quorum Gazette. Even Alverman won't be against it if the nobles stop complaining. However, Father is not your only visitor of note that day. Shortly after the door closes behind him, the familiar face of Judge Carlo Falkengraben appears in your office. He looks around cautiously before speaking his mind. I hear you've been ordered to deal with that newspaper run by wealthy commoners. It's a complicated case indeed, if you ask me. Work like that deserves to be rewarded. Why not make the most of it? You're quite close with Prefect Albone, are you not? Almost related as well. What if you were to shut down the paper and seize their printing press? All it would take is Sir Prefect's signature. And my friends among the Quorum nobles, why, they could use a gazette of their own. I would be delighted to help you put that printing press in good hands. Just think of it. You would shut down a subversive periodical and help our esteemed nobles spread their message, all while earning a lucrative reward for your efforts. It's quite a coup, really. Everyone wins. Do think on it, Brante. Ooh, that one is tempting. He leaves and you are left alone in your office to deliberate. If you decide to shut down the Gazette, how far should you go? And if you choose to legitimize the periodical, how will you go about it? Right, if we seize it... But let me guess this, but... Okay, so we lose wealth. We become known as protector of the people. We lose wealth. Big deal. Well, this one, career and justice both go up, and I feel like that is the best case scenario here. Because out of this, yeah, we'll legitimize the Gazette. We can try and make money elsewhere. You spend several days scheduling audiences, exchanging greetings, and presenting invitations to the senior nobles of Anazat. You have to pull all the strings you have and muster all your knowledge of Anazat high society. To say nothing of the family funds you spend throwing a suitable party for such esteemed guests. After much effort, both the nobles and the commoners from the Lesser Quorum have gathered together at your family estate at last. Mayor Egmont, owner of the Quorum Gazette, has accepted your invitation as well. The nobles are clearly vexed at having to tolerate the commoners' presence, yet they maintain that quorum etiquette demands. You tactfully take advantage of the situation to begin a negotiation. You inform the esteemed gathering that you are the judge handling the case of the Quorum Gazette. In your opinion, a periodical for their legislature is a most useful initiative, but only if the entirety of the Lesser Quorum shows support for the Quorum Gazette, and only if the Gazette represents the opinions of all its members, including commoners and nobles alike. Your words are met with a flurry of resentful shouting, disputing voices. People start to argue. Sometime later, the Gazette owner, Mayor Egmont, takes his turn to speak. He looks almost like a nobleman. Egmont is well-groomed and wears expensive clothing only a wealthy industrialist could afford. Nevertheless, his rough manner of speaking and boorish posture betray his humble origins. I do say there's some truth in what you're saying, Sir Brante. We did begin the Gazette without asking the noble sirs for their opinions. Still, if they let us have our articles printed, I suppose I'll agree to publish their opinions as well. This leads to another fervent debate. Some nobles reject sharing a periodical with the lowborn, while the more obstinate commoners of the Quorum insist they already have the right to publish the Gazette on their own. It takes you no small amount of time and negotiation to bring both sides to an agreement. It's settled then. Ah, I breathed air wrong and coughed. As the owner of the Gazette, I pronounce it the official and legitimate newsletter of the Lesser Quorum, and the noble sirs are invited to publish their articles on the state of affairs in our province. Industrialists and merchants surround you and shower you with praise as a skillful negotiator. Tonight you defended more than a newspaper. You stood up for the entire common estate of the province. Father keeps his distance from most of the party, but once matters are settled, he pats you on the shoulder. Excellent work, son. You chose the path of justice while staying on the good side with the powerful nobility. Even Magistrate El Vermin won't hold this against you. Your career at the prefecture will surely flourish. Let's just hope your notoriety as a protector of the common folk won't harm you in the future. The night is over. One by one, the esteemed guests leave the Brante estate. The family home you know so well. You never thought the affairs of the entire province would be one day decided within these familiar walls. Whew! I am a protector of the people. Huzzah! I really need to get Justice up. Today is a big day for the Brante family. The day your family line started, the day when you remember all your ancestors. Tonight, everyone who bears the name Brante must ascend into the family crypt to keep vigil by the tombs. This is the time to surrender yourself to your ancestors and hear their will. The entire family prepares for the event in silence. Stefan has been choosing his apparel since morning, praying anxiously under his breath all the while. The heir has a special place in the family vigil. Even Mother is planning to go with you, though Father tries to talk her out of it. Lady, I beg of you, stay home. You are far too weak for an all-night vigil in the crypt. Or would you be so kind as to stay with your mother since you can join us anyway? Gloria answers in a muffled voice. As you wish, Sir Robert. The late Sir Gregor would only be enraged to see Mother there. We all remember how their last encounter ended. Father nods curtly, avoiding Gloria's gaze. But at that moment, your attention is drawn to a noise in the foyer. Nathan staggers through the door, stumbling over his own feet. He reeks of cheap wine and filth. I'm not late, am I? Everyone gazes at him in consternation. Nathan almost falls into Mother's and Gloria's arms. Distressed, they fuss over him. Stefan eyes his youngest brother coldly. I expected nothing more of you, Nathan. I even speak of duty to your family when you can't even manage to live by the commoner's law. Go lie down in the pantry and stay out of sight. Father, Ryan, it's time. Let's go. Alongside Father and Stefan, you descend into the family crypt. You cannot help but remember paying your last respects to your grandfather 9 years ago. You light the steps. Dim, eerie flames illuminate the shrine in the middle of it. In the middle of it stands a magnificent stone tomb containing the long-decayed remains of Gregor Brante. You take your places around the crypt and kneel. The all-night vigil has begun. Spooky! At first, your ancestors remain silent. Each of you is left with their own thoughts. Then a low murmur passes around you. The shadows in the corners of the room deepen. Oh! The voices grow stronger. You know that the ancestors of Gregor Brante, long-forgotten commoners whom you never knew, are trying to talk to you. But now a memory of them has come to life in the darkness of the crypt. They're pleading for something, demanding it of you, calling out to you, screaming. Finally, you all hear that painfully familiar, deep, imperious voice echo from the far end of the chamber. It's been a long time since I've seen you all. I hope you bear good tidings. All this time, I've been waiting for you to fulfill my mission. Remember, as long as I am in your blood, I will give you no peace. I did not have my family ennobled just to see our line cut short. Our blood tide must join the grand flow of the Empire, and then each of my descendants will inherit nobility forever and ever. But I do not see any of you before my tomb. Where are you hiding? Where is the head of our family, the man who will speak to me? Or Where's the man who will heed my will? Father rises from his knees and makes his way toward grandfather's stone tomb, the source of that booming voice. But Stefan suddenly pushes him out of the way. Father takes an indignant step forward, but Stefan firmly bars the way. Stop it, Stefan. You are my heir, but you are not the head of this family. Father, it is not you that Sir Gregor is addressing. Earning the nobility of the sword is my duty to him. He has long forsaken any hope of seeing you achieve it. You must understand that I am the one who will fulfill that duty. Stefan does not let him pass. Father breathes heavily in anger. You can all but feel the frantic beating of both their hearts resonating somewhere within you. Both your father and brother seem to have forgotten that you are here too. Even the restless voices of your ancestors have grown hushed, waiting for the outcome of this confrontation. Oh, I could piss everyone off. I'm taking it. I'm fucking taking it. Fuck you guys, it's me. I am the man of the family. While Stefan blocks your father's way, you step forward yourself. Now they are both trying to stop you, but you are already loudly addressing the spirit of Sir Gregor. Sir Ryan of the Brontes is the man who will speak to him. Well. Look who we have here. It's Ryan himself, a recent nobleman of the mantle and a judge. I must admit, grandson, it has always been my belief that you would not be satisfied by the commoner's lot, even when I punished you for your escapades. But are you up to your old tricks again? Do you truly imagine yourself to be the head of this family? What about my spineless son and his rightful heir, Stefan? Or are you planning to take his place? Look over your shoulder. Father has covered his face with his hands, flustered. Stefan is clenching his fists angrily and whispering something under his breath. Since you have been so bold as to speak to me, you will hear my will, Ryan. Dead though I may be, my will still lives, and you all are the embodiment of it in the realm of the living. Earning the nobility of the sword is the great cause of anyone who bears the name of Brante. Your duty by blood is to earn us a place in eternity, just as it is my duty to look out for you, even from beyond the grave. Your father's follies have become a veritable threat, and I must help you overcome it. You still cater to those foundlings, Lydia and Gloria, risking a permanent blemish upon the Brante name. My name! You are but a step away from leading our family to shame and ruin. Her grandfather's authoritative speech is suddenly interrupted by your father. Oh, Father, this is impossible. Even if I must defy your will, I am responsible for Gloria. My honor and my conscience will not allow me to do what you demand. You must accept this or keep on fighting me for all eternity. It is not to you that I am speaking, Robert. Ryan, take the family cause into your hands. Do not take after your father. Do not shy away from taking responsibility for your actions. Do what must be done. Cleanse our family of wickedness. You do not have time to respond. Stefan's strong arm hurls you to one side. But when your elder brother addresses grandfather instead of you, he is shaking. Gregor, Ryan must be out of his mind. I am the heir here. I am ready to heed your will. You have heard it, Stefan, and do not let anyone usurp your rightful place again. Otherwise, you will lose your very birthright. Stefan answers his ancestor in a strained voice. I will do my duty to my family, Sir Gregor. Whatever the price, I will pay it. The crypt is completely silent once more. The spirit of Gregor Brante has left. You are alone again. You see tears glistening on Stefan's face. Without a sound, he detaches himself from you and leaves the crypt. Your father casts a disdainful glance at you and follows him up the stairs. You're left in the semi-darkness, alone with the invisible spirits of the dead that follow your family everywhere, even from oblivion. Whatever the will of your deceased grandfather may be, you have proven before your ancestors that you have the right to heir it on behalf of the Brante family. The vigil is over. Can our relations go to? I'm assuming they can. Huh. Just a few days into the year, Mayor Egmont, chairman of the Lesser Quorum and owner of several silver mines, made a speech that caused quite a stir in the province. Though Commoner Egmont had the gall to demand that the Magran authorities both enforce and obey imperial law. What's the use of the imperial laws if they aren't enforced as they should be? Even today, any Anazont nobleman who gets up on the wrong side of the bed can draw his sword and run a commoner through with impunity. These gentlemen may be our rulers, but does that mean they can defy the Emperor's will? Thoralborn has been appointed to enforce the rule of law in Magra. How come the prefect doesn't see this? We commoners aren't trying to seize the noble lot and take over the province, but the rule of tradition is a thing of the past. This is the age of justice. We may not all be equal in its eyes, but even the nobles and clergy must obey the law. The Magran aristocracy is furious with Eggman and demands that he be silenced. But the rich industrialist has too much money and too many connections to be dealt with so easily. You hear more and more rumors about secret societies of commoners appearing in the city, plotting against noble rule. The gentry fears that Eggman and his peers might be behind this, but they have no proof. At least for now. Father Lennart, abbot of the Temple of the Silver Tree and leader of the New Believers, reports Eggman and has spoken publicly in his favor. The twins themselves entrust the noble estate with the right to rule over the common folk. But rulers must also care for their subjects. The old faith is mistaken. No commoner should ever be forced to suffer. It is for this very reason that the imperial law exists. It is there to ease the people's suffering. May those laws be duly enforced, and may they serve all the people of the Empire. Okay. It is another day at the prefecture. A secretary peeks into your office with a message from the prefect. There is a new case he wishes you to handle. You put away your quill and walk to Sir Elborn's office. To your surprise, he happens to have another visitor already. There's a graceful figure sitting across from your immediate superior, none other than Octavia Milonitis. After all the times you have met her in the capital, you expected the Archduke's daughter to be brilliantly, lavishly dressed, but her appearance today is modest and formal with a high-necked dress and a strict bun. However, her demure attire only serves to emphasize her role as a distinguished visitor to the prefecture. You bow to the prefect and the noble Archnean lady. Octavia offers you a curt greeting, then returns to the conversation you have interrupted. This matter can brook no delay, Baron Elborn. The young judge may well wait outside. Nonetheless, Sir Elborn insists that you come in and take a seat. Worry not, Brante. You are not interrupting at all. Lady Milonitis, I was scheduled to meet with Sir Brante at this very hour. I regret to inform you that your visit was, perhaps, somewhat unfortunately timed. Octavia rises from the soft, high-backed chair. The young Archnean lady now stands tall, elegant, and indignant. You are out of line, Sir Elborn. Archduke Milonitis has graced you with a representative from his dynasty, and you will listen to what I have to say this instant. The Archduke has expressed concern over your manner of governance at the prefecture. You have always been headstrong and eager to infringe upon the freedoms of your own noble estate, but now it appears you find it acceptable to conduct proceedings against our own loyal subjects? Our dynasty has already seen many loyal nobles of the sort arrested or faced with punishment in the court. Where will this lead? Do you mean to enforce your lowly laws against us Archneans? Do not forget that those laws were written to keep low-born humans in check. Our lives have always been governed by noble honor and tradition, as well as the blood tie that is our heritage. Our only justice is the court of honor. The only rule above us is that of our sovereign, the Emperor, and the twins. Our only duty is to our kin and our forefathers. My ancestor Char Milonitis himself granted the boon of nobility to you humans. It would be most unwise to make me regret his decision of old. In the name of Archduke Milonitis, I demand that you end any and all proceedings against our subjects at once. Elborn acknowledges Lady Octavia's vehement speech with a calm smile, and nothing else. He shows no trepidation, no tremor, no fear, even though the lady across from her represents one of the Empire's mightiest dynasties. Lady Milonitis, the twins have graced the blessed Archnean lineage with a boon of long life. Yet the world can be quick to change at times. The laws of the Empire now govern the nobles of the mantle and even the nobles of the sword, along with the common estate. This particular change is not as recent as it might seem. The laws of the Empire are the decrees of the Emperor himself, the twins' chosen supreme sovereign. His laws are his will, which is, as you said yourself, the only rule above us, and that means all of us, from a high-born Archnean to the lowliest commoner. Presently, the Emperor's representative in our province is Overseer Gaius Tempest. Like this prefecture in its entirety, I am simply obeying the Overseer's will and the laws of the Empire. Then pray tell me, Baron Elborn, who is your own sovereign and protector? He is none other than my father, Archduke Milonitis. You swore him an oath of fealty and vassalage. It is your duty to follow his word and will, or do you wish for the Archduke himself to address you directly? I tell you, cease this harassment of our loyal noble subjects at once. I will not leave until this order is carried out. Why, Lady Milonitis, I'm afraid this is quite impossible. As a servant of the Empire and Imperial Overseer Gaius Tempest, it is my duty to enforce the law. Now, if you will excuse me, Sir Brante and I have urgent matters to discuss. The gaze of the Archduke's daughter is locked with the prefects in a silent struggle. Each expects the other to back down first, but then Octavia suddenly turns toward you. But I believe the young judge has more in him than blind obedience. Surely you are able to distinguish a rightful claimant from a threat to the province, are you not? Silence resounds within the prefect's office. They are both waiting for you to speak. Fuck! Damn it. Alright, what happens here? New support. You engage in the argument and respectfully mention that your business with the prefect is urgent indeed. There are many issues that need to be resolved with Sir Elborn. You begin listing them one after another to prove your point. Octavia's face grows dark. She shakes her elegant head in indignation. What a shame, Brante, seeing you eating out of this visionless gentleman's hand. And I hoped you were bold enough to have an opinion of your own. It seems my ancestor's charm Melanitis was mistaken after all. Humans will never realize what it means to be a noble and live in honor. And as for you, Sir Elborn, the Melanitis dynasty will continue this conversation whether you like it or not. I'm afraid our next meeting will not be as innocuous as today's. Octavia rises from her seat elegantly yet quickly. A moment later, you hear her high heels clacking away in the corridor. Sir Elborn sighs with relief. Thank you for showing her what you're made of, Ryan. I appreciate your loyalty to the cause. The prefecture and the Archduke are about to enter a full-blown war. It's a pleasure to see a reliable judge on my side. Archduke Melanitis is testing the prefecture with his daughter. Otherwise, he'd have asked me to visit his palace personally. He's showing caution, which means we still stand strong. At least for now. We will continue our service to the law without regard for the outmoded ways of the past. But I digress. This is high politics, and the prefecture still has plenty of cases to resolve. Get back to our work, Judge Brante. With that, Elborn hands you a new case file. You thank the Baron and head back to your office to study it properly. It's time to get back to work. The repercussions of your most recent encounter with the Archduke's daughter, Octavia, soon manifest themselves. The letter bearing the seal of the great dynasty of Melanitis arrives the next day. Inside the envelope, you find an invitation to Castle Serpenverde, the Archduke's residence. Visiting the Archduke of Magra himself is a great honor. To decline such an invitation would be an insult of colossal magnitude. You immediately purchase a new doublet in the latest fashion and ask Father to lend you a precious family brooch. It depicts the Brante family crest, and the leaves on the yoke branch are made of tiny emeralds. Octavia should find it to her liking. Your family cannot help but notice your preparations. Mother watches nervously as you make sure everything is ready for your journey. This odd invitation has me worried, my son. Be careful in the Archduke's castle. You're still of low-born origin. Marking attention spells danger to people like us every time. Remember not to displease them, or the Melanitis will grind our family into dust. Come early morning, the carriages take you away from the border walls of Anazalt. It takes you a full day to reach Serpenveder along the dusty, sun-scorched high road. While on the road, you read notes on Arcanian traditions and rules of etiquette again and again. To preserve your family's honor, you must make the best possible impression. The provincial powers that be will be watching your every step, and so will Octavia, with her cunning grin. Only as the sun is about to set do you manage to spot the dark, colossal shape of Castle Serpenverde, a towering fortification of jet-black stone spread across a peak looming over the bed of a long-gone river. The carriage climbs the narrow serpentine road to the castle gate. Soldiers of the Archduke's Guard approach you, and you present them with the invitation. The guards eye you with suspicion, but give the signal to open the gate. You are now inside the walls of the Archduke's castle. You had expected to see many carriages of other guests beyond the gate, but the courtyard is strangely empty. The guards show you to a servant who guides you to a room reserved for guests and leaves you there to wait. The servant soon returns, and you follow him through the dimly lit corridors of Serpenverde, lavishly adorned with silver, emeralds, and weapons of war. The castle is silent. There is no noise, no music. It seems completely uninhabited. The sound of your footsteps is smothered by the soft velvet beneath your feet. The servant stops in front of a pair of massive doors made of black wood. This is your destination, he gestured silently. You enter an enormous room, its walls covered in portraits and ancestral relics. In the very center of the room is a towering throne carved of black wood. Upon the throne, you see the delicate silhouette of Octavia Milonitis clad in a black velvet dress embroidered in silver. With a commanding gesture, the Archnean lady bids you approach. You're here at last. Are you surprised, Ryan? How odd. You didn't think my father would actually summon you to an Archnean castle, did you? Or are you truly that naive? How sweet of you. No, it was I who summoned you here. You're alone in the castle. Portraits cover the walls. Portraits of Archneans with dark eyes and jet black hair. They all resemble birds of prey, and their eyes seem to watch you with contempt that makes you uneasy. Allow me to introduce you to my family. Family? This is a human by the name of Brante. What do you think of him, father? She casts a defiant glance at the portrait of the Archduke Milonitis. Then she removes a glove from her hand and casts it as well. It hits the great Archduke right in the nose. Octavia laughs at that, and the tall walls and innumerable portraits echo her voice. Baffled, you ask Lady Milonitis why she has summoned you. Because you have caught my attention. I noticed you even when you were somewhat younger than you are now. And then I started seeing you again and again. I've caught myself thinking about you quite often, and so I've decided that I wish to possess you. Oh my. You'll become my companion. Other humans will envy you, but no one will dare to cross you. My name will open any door you like. In return, you will satisfy my every whim, and I will do with you as I please. Octavia rises from the throne, the hem of her dress lifting up to reveal her elegant, slender leg. You know the history of this throne, yes? My ancestor Char Milonitis used to sit here during the rebellion of Magra. Can you imagine that? Char Milonitis made decisions that formed the entire empire, all from this very seat. Now it's gathering dust in this vainglorious art gallery of my father's. Now come to me, human. Octavia waits for you to do her bidding. One does not argue with an Archnean. Since the dawn of the Empire, they have taken whatever they wanted. If you refuse, Octavia, daughter to the Archduke of Magro, you will insult her greatly. If you submit to this Archnean woman, if you become her plaything, everyone will know you are in the good graces of Lady Milonitis herself. As a human, what more could you possibly dream of? You recall your chance encounters with her from the days of your youth to more recent times. What are your feelings for this exceptional Archnean lady, and what does she truly want from you? If you are willing to enter into a perilous romance with Octavia, perhaps you could do it on your own terms, returning her affections while keeping your honor. Would she defy all the traditions of old for you and recognize you as her equal, even if only in secret? No! Fuck! Octavia arches her back on her father's throne and waits for you, her slender hand beckoning you closer. I mean, I frankly don't see anything wrong with this. Okay, we submit. She's hot, dude. She's hot. That's one. She's rich. That's two. Influential. That's three. And did I say she's hot? That's four. Easy choice, yeah. You have seen Octavia only briefly, and yet you seem to understand something about her already. You know what she wants, and you know how to take advantage of it. And so you follow the beckoning silky glove to the throne. Octavia stretches out her legs to you, a toying look in her eyes. She is wearing black velvet high heels. Remove these. I'm tired. You feel... Am I gonna boink? You kneel chivalrously before her and take off one shoe, then another. Stockings cover her feet and legs, smooth silk so soft to the touch. You run your hand along her calf, enchanted. Come closer. Don't make me lean towards you. You bring yourself closer. Octavia reaches out for your still bowed head, her hands roughly caressing your face. A moment passes and suddenly her arms wrap around your neck and her legs lock around your torso as she pulls you closer to her with all her might. You freeze in terror for a moment, not daring to risk the Archnean's assault. Then, just as suddenly, Lady Milonitis lets you go and stands. Without her shoes, she is shockingly tiny, barely as high as your shoulder. She suddenly grasps you by the cravat and drags you into the throne. So, human, how do you like the seat of the great Char Milonitis? Just a piece of wood, don't you agree? Uncomfortable too, but spacious enough for two. Octavia's eyes are dark, black as the starless sky. The Arcanian woman tears off your clothes, and her ravenous lips find your bare skin. Vicious and insatiable, she thirsts for pleasure. But why did she seek it with you? Why would she humiliate her ancestors and her very dynasty by having an affair with a human? Maybe that turns her on, dishonoring her ancestors. Seeing you preoccupied, Octavia slaps you across the face and tells you to keep going. Your lips do her bidding, running down her body in a state of considerable undress. Octavia's inhuman passion swallows you and overtakes you, devoid of all tenderness. The youngest woman of the Milonitis dynasty demands, and you obey, until the vast halls echoes with her satisfied moan. Octavia caresses your hair assertively. What do you want now, my human? You humbly bow and respond that all you want is to serve Lady Milonitis, satisfying her every whim, her every secret desire. Yet she would bring you great happiness if you and your family could live and prosper in her good graces, alive and safe from intrigue and ambush of any kind. With your family secure, you would be free to serve her as long as you live. My, you know your price, young Brante. Now with whom should I put a word in for you, my sweet boy? You beg her to mention your name to the oldest of the Archduke's vassals, the most ancient families of Anazon, to mention that your family enjoys the Archduke's favor and deserves to be ennobled by the sword for all time. Octavia laughs at that, her fingers squeeze your chin painfully. Ennobled by the sword, your ambitions run so low, but what am I saying? You're only human after all. Very well. I'll be your secret patron as long as you keep me entertained. Bring me my clothes and then help me get me properly dressed, then go to your room for the night. You will leave at dawn and return to your silly service in your cases. I'll visit Anazon now and again and send you letters when I wish to meet you. My pleasure is your first and most important duty from now on. Never forget that. You kneel before Lady Milonitis and kiss her hand. You could never forget, not even if you wanted to. Let's go, I'm boinking in nobility. We're moving up in the world, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving up. Seriously, who the fuck would deny that though? Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, there are 3 options there, but realistically, there were only 2. It was either if you are able to, you get her to treat you like an equal, or number 2, you become her slave, which is what we have become. Ugh. Your home has been much more peaceful for the last year. The fights between Stefan and Gloria are not as fierce now. But how long will this last? Your job takes up all your time. You see your parents and siblings less and less often. Sometimes you don't even know what they are doing while you deal with the constant stream of duties. This morning you head out on urgent business. You take one step out of the gate and run into a uniformed gendarme. Brian Brante, your presence is requested at the prefecture dungeon. Taken aback, you ask what this is about. We have your brothers Stefan and Nathan Brante in a cell. They were arrested last night at the Steiner's Inn. They asked us to send for you. What the hell did they do? The cells in the prefecture dungeon are cold and damp. The guards lead you to the bars, and behind them you see Nathan huddled in the corner. Your younger brother is unshaven, more disheveled than usual and reeking of wine and filth. Near the cell, you see Stefan grimly sitting in a chair. I guess that the gendarmes thought it best not to put him in the same cell as his low-born brother. Upon seeing you, Nathan lets out a whimper, and Stefan cracks a bitter smile. The sheath on your brother's belt is empty. There you are at last, Ryan. Have a look at our younger brother. Yesterday, he got drunk in the company of some dubious fellows. They're commoners, yet they dared to surrender to pleasure. They started a brawl, wrecked the inn, and harassed the waitresses. As soon as I heard, I rushed to save this drunkard from shame. Nathan cowers into the corner, horror-struck. I walked in and demanded that Nathan come with me, but his cronies wouldn't let him go. That's not true. You just grabbed me by the collar and dragged me after. You nearly suffocated me. Shut your mouth, cur. So, brother, they seem to have some sort of sect. They all shouted defamations against the twin gods, and one of them grabbed me by the arm. I was forced to skewer this heretic with my sword. I hope a lesser death will teach him never to lay his filthy paws on a nobleman. He was just trying to talk to you, Stefan. Silence! And the gendarmes barged in, and here we are. I have been accused of an awful murder. Apparently, the new laws allow killing a commoner only if he attacks, fists, or wields a weapon. They say that in the event of an insult, I'm supposed to file a complaint with the prefecture. So now they're gonna seize my sword for a whole year. What a shame, and it's all your fault, Nathan. Stefan gives the bars a furious kick. Nathan covers his face with his hands in despair. Ryan, brother, you're our only hope. Give me my sword back and get us out of here. And fast. We have to bury this sordid affair as deep as we can before anyone finds out. Save our family from shame. If I use my authority, we lose it just. I refuse to help. We lose a lot of reputation. So it looks like no matter what, we're gonna lose something. We'll ask Father for help. That's the best option there. You tell Stefan that the only way to get them out of this mess is with Father's help. No, Ryan, Father must not know about this. If he gets involved, we won't be able to avoid dishonoring the family. You coldly reply that after this incident, disgrace is inevitable. All that remains is to try and minimize the damage. Leaving your brothers, you go upstairs to your father's office. Matt, thank you for the host. What happened, Ryan? You give Father an account of the incident. It becomes more and more grim with every word you utter. Is this why I earned the judge's mantle to get my own sons out of prison? I would have expected something like this from Nathan, but Stefan? I'll not demean myself so they can avoid their punishment. You argue that in this case, the damage to your family's reputation will be far greater. Stefan will be publicly deprived of his sword, and Nathan will be sentenced to hard labor on the streets. I hate to admit it, but you're right, son. I'll just swallow my pride and plead their case to the prefect. Stefan is his nephew, after all. Father gets an audience with the superior Alborn. He returns downhearted, but holding the prefect's order. Together, you walk down to the dungeon and present the order to the gendarmes. Stefan Brante's sword is to be returned at once. He has not broken the law and must be freed. As for Nathan Brante, you will personally cover the damages the inn has sustained. This is no reason to keep a son of a noble family behind bars. Seeing the prefect's seal, the gendarme nods obediently and returns Stefan's sword. Father, I knew you'd come to the rescue. I haven't really done anything shameful. We will discuss this at home. Stefan sheathes his sword as reverently as Nathan is led out of the cell. The elder brother takes the younger by the scruff of the neck and pulls him to the door. Nathan staggers and shuffles along limply. The prefecture is highly displeased with the indiscreet nepotism your father took advantage of. Unsavory rumors about the Brante family creep through Anazot. Back home, Father lectures Stefan. Your elder brother objects and blames Nathan for everything. From now on, there will be no more drinking bouts or other nocturnal exploits, Nathan. Who are those rogues you befriended anyway? Stop shaming this family. If you're so worthless, at least let others go about their business in peace. Do you understand, you blockhead? Nathan remains silent, staring despondently somewhere above him. Well, we're becoming more and more manipulative. We're a con man now. Your most recent year of service at the prefecture has seen an increase in litigation on crimes against the church. More and more people are joining the ranks of the new faith in Anazont. The movement began with destitute beggars who had nothing to lose, but for years now, many well-off commoners and new nobles have been joining the fold. People say the leader of the new faith in Anazont is Father Leonard, the abbot of the temple at the Silver Tree. The city's leaders would love to expel him, but he is too highly regarded by the common folk. Complaints and cases of defiance of one's lot keep pouring in. Every day somebody is reported by their neighbors for heresy. Many commoners, adherents of the old faith, fear that such flagrant defiance of the lot will usher in the prophesied wrath of the gods. However, you and the other judges have no choice but to reject most of these cases. As a secular institution, the prefecture has no authority when it comes to crimes against faith. Only the church and the Inquisition have any say there. In the middle of another day, busy at the prefecture office, the door suddenly swings open. A tall gendarme wearing an officer's uniform walks in. He takes off his helmet, adjusts his short, fair hair, and bows to you hastily. Captain Linden reporting, Your Honor. My boys finally caught Father Mark, the dreaded apostate heretic. The prefect told us to take him to you for judgment. Yep, you! Bring him in. Two gendarmes bring in a short, stout man wearing a worn, dirty priest's cassock. Priests wear the sacred symbol of the twins, a cross within a circle, but this man does not. Forced to sit before you, this odd-looking priest is nonetheless strangely undisturbed by his arrest. His eyes curious and glimmering with life, studying you intently. This is him, Father Mark in the flesh. We caught him trying to preach that teaching of his, smack in the middle of a drinking hole for the lowborn in the Grey District. Some guy took offense and called for the gendarmes, and we got there right away. Father Mike, you've heard of the name ever since you were a child. This call to rejection of the twins has expanded tenfold over the past several years, with nobles, commoners, and even other priests joining his flock. The Inquisition has hunted this heretical apostate for years. Father Mark has always eluded capture until now. Some say he has powerful protectors. Here are statements from people at the establishment, Your Honor. You flip through pages of handwritten statements. Father Mark isn't just preaching. He is openly defying not only the lots, but even the twins themselves. Father Mark teaches that the gods have neither design nor purpose for us, so we are under no obligation to serve them or prepare our souls for the hereafter. You put the papers away, ready to question the profane priest. What was the subject of his sermons? What was he trying to convince his listeners to do? Father Mark professes his answer with a dazzling smile. As a judge, it is your duty to enforce secular law. You know as well as I do that I have broken no such law. I am a priest, my friend, and in the Empire, priests are allowed to preach. I was preaching the proper way to live one's worldly life, but this is the only existence we have. I told my listeners not to waste their lives serving those gods. The twins surely love us, but alas, their love violates us as much as their law. This entire world is proof of that. I see my words upset you, but I'm afraid you can't judge me guilty for that. Here's why. You see, mine is the priestly lot. But the judgment of the church is to be trusted, which means that only the Inquisition Tribunal may find me guilty. So you can hand me over to those black-clad thugs? But alas, you will get absolutely nothing in return. The Inquisition wants to light their pyres in every corner of Anazan, and all they need for that is me. As soon as they get me, the Inquisitors will tell the prefecture to step aside and start enforcing the law themselves. Is that what you want, my friend? So what are you to do with me? Well, let's think about it. As a secular judge, you can't find me guilty, but giving me to the Inquisition will weaken the prefecture. And so, my friend, everybody will be better off if you just set me free. Trust an old philosopher. It's better for me, better for your prefect, and better for you as well. Surprisingly, the gendarme captain smiles knowingly at these words. He leans over and whispers a few words into your ear. You cannot help but notice the scars all over his neck. I say the old heretic's right, Your Honor. He's still got the priestly lot. He's the Inquisition's problem. Too dangerous for the prefecture to meddle in churchly affairs. And strictly between you and me, if the reports I've been getting here are to be trusted, this here Mark's been rubbing elbows with Patriarch Cassius himself. Letting him go might get us on his good side, and Sir Patriarch's a very wealthy man. But suddenly, the captain's voice trails off as the door to your office opens without warning. There's a young woman at the door, clothed in a black cassock and bearing the telltale silver seal of the Inquisition. I'm Sister Jean, Your Honor. I serve the Order of the Inquisition. That stern face, those piercing brown eyes, they seem somehow familiar. Of course, this is the young acolyte girl from the Temple of the Silver Tree. The one you saw during that school visit. She's an Inquisitor now. Your men did well to track down and arrest Father Mark. Splendid. We've been hunting this false preacher for a long time. As I'm sure you know, priests may not be judged by secular laws, Your Honor. Mark has denigrated the twins and called for the people to reject them. He has broken his sacred vows and defied his lot. He will face the tribunal of the Inquisition for his transgressions. The man before you is a great threat to the people of Anazat, Judge Brante. His words lead people astray. His speeches doom them to eternal suffering at the foot of the pillar. Only the church knows the way to end his heresy. You will hand Father Mark over to me at once. Sister Jean remains in the doorway, wordlessly refusing to leave the prefecture without the captured heretic. The gendarmes and the captain stand still, waiting your orders. Father Mark is lounging in the chair, enjoying himself and eyeing you curiously, waiting for your decision on this contentious situation. Let's see, okay. Set him free. Ooh, I gain a bunch of wealth. Let's see, the church gains. Hand him over, justice goes down. What happens to the judge? Oh, we get more diplomacy, though? Yes. You order the gendarme to put Father Mark in jail. The priest just shakes his head slowly and sadly. The gendarme captain smirks slyly at Sister Jean and tells his men to put the priest in shackles. As you wish, Your Honor. The mere sight of Father Mark being taken away by the law sends Sister Jean into an apoplectic fit of rage. How dare you defy the judgment of the Inquisition? You have no right to judge a priest, not even such an erring heretic as Mark. Only other priests may pronounce judgment upon a priest. You have clearly forgotten your own lot if you see it otherwise. Know this, Sir Brante, the Inquisition will not forget this outrage. You'll do whatever it takes to get you dismissed. After Jean finally storms out, you head for Elborn's office. Thanks to the firm guidance of the prefect and your verdicts as a judge, rule of law in the province has been on the rise. Even nobles can be seen falling in line and acknowledging the prefecture's authority. Would this be the time to take another step forward and make the priests acknowledge secular law just as they accept the divine law? That was quite brazen of you, Brante, defying the Inquisition like that. It could cost you dearly. I'm on your side in this matter. Father Mark will set an ideal precedent, a priest judged by imperial law rather than a church tribunal. The man you caught is an apostate and a heretic, so the Inquisition will provide no legal defense. This all but ensures a guilty verdict. Permission granted, Brante. Prepare the case. To ensure that the Inquisition has no time to intervene, you schedule the trial as soon as possible. Though even with these precautions, the courtroom on the day of trial is a strange sight to see. Outraged priests and odd-looking commoners fill the stalls. Now and again, you hear their cries. Some demand you hand over Father Mark to the Inquisition, while others shout in support of the apostate. Mark himself is quietly and utterly calm, his arms folded across his chest. The time for the verdict has come. Instead of heresy, you accuse Father Mark of inciting rebellion against the Emperor's rule. In his sermons, Mark told people to reject the twins, but the Tempest dynasty was chosen to rule by the twins themselves. Therefore, his call to reject the twins represents an act of rebellion against the Tempest dynasty and the Empire as a whole. You thus conclude that Father Mark is an insurgent and a traitor, a crime that falls within the authority of the prefecture. Your speech is the Board of Justice backed against the wall. Despite their better judgment, they are now obligated to side with you instead of the Inquisition. Through clenched teeth, they accept your arguments for persecuting Father Mark in a secular trial. The verdict has been rendered. Well then, Your Honors, I hope your ambition has been duly satisfied and your authority duly enforced. But alas, every single one of you is still a puppet of the alien will of the gods. It is time to hand me over to the Inquisition. After all, only the Church knows the proper punishment for me. The gendarmes unceremoniously stuff a gag in Father Mark's mouth to protect society from his heretical notions. Sister Jean is waiting right outside the courtroom, an inscrutable expression on her face. She takes custody of Father Mark, now a convict, and leads him to the dungeons of the Inquisition for his long overdue punishment. Shortly after, you learn that your father was one of the judges on the Board of Justice. That was some trial, and it was led by my own son, of all people, a priest convicted by the prefecture. Our province has never seen anything like this before. Many judges are bound to hold a grudge against you for making us clash with the Inquisition. As for me, I'm proud you saw the case through to the very end. We will succeed no matter what fate has in store for us. Hell yeah. Whew. What is this? What is this? Oh. Another day of work at the prefecture is winding down. After hours of paperwork, your fingers are cramped, your vision blurred. Today, you must finish incorporating the new decrees of the Great Imperial Council into the modern code of law. The document will then be sent to the overseer. A knock at the door distracts you. Your visitor is someone you were not expecting to see. Mayor Egmont enters your office. He is the wealthiest man in Magra, the owner of the silver mines and the leader of the wealthy commoners' party in the Lesser Quorum. He wears a high-priced frock coat made of light gray fabric. He wears no jewelry, but his coat is richly embroidered, the most luxurious a commoner can ever afford. Egmont offers you a broad, sun-tanned hand. It is hard, work-weary, and eternally calloused. This is a man who has earned his fortune with the sweat of his brow. Good afternoon, Judge Brante. We met recently about this newspaper business, but today I need to discuss a different matter with you. I came to talk to you on behalf of the manufacturers of Magra. As you know, the principal source of income in the province is the silver mines. Our mines provide silver for the sacramental rites conducted in temples all over the empire. The upper vein of ore is nearly exhausted. We need to process new deposits that are lower down. That's where our trouble with the law comes into play. In order to get to the deeper layers of ore, we need gunpowder. But a decree from the Great Imperial Council has forbidden common people from using it. Back in the capital, they are afraid we'll turn that gunpowder into a weapon. But this restriction will harm not only the manufacturers and the miners, but the province as a whole. The silver trade will decline, we won't have enough money to buy grain, and soon even the nobility will be impoverished. I know that you, the judges of the prefectures, are the ones who interpret the decrees from the capital. So I implore you, Sir Brante, to come to the aid of the honest tradesmen of Magra. Pass an amendment allowing the use of gunpowder in the silver mines. You give Eggman a speculative glance and ask him why he has asked you, specifically for help. I've been following your decisions for quite some time, Your Honor. They give me hope. I don't agree with you on everything, but we seem to see eye to eye on the essentials. The common estate needs to get real rights. It's the only way for our province and for the Empire as a whole. Sure, Prefect Alborn has proclaimed as such himself, but unfortunately he's a nobleman of the sword first and foremost. He's bound by the blood tide, by the power of the Overseer and the Arcanine, so all his undertakings are doomed to fail. You, Sir Brante, truly care for the people. You need some powerful allies among the Lowborn. Allies like me. Do this for me, and together we will change the fate of Magra. Eggman extends his hand, hope in his eyes. You take your time before answering, weighing his words carefully. Alright, so if I get this, I get money and justice. But what happens if I refuse? Literally, why would I disagree to this? Why would I disagree to, like, there is no negative here. I gain money, the province gains money, and justice goes up. Fuck yeah. You take his hand. Eggman gives you a strong handshake. You tell him that you share his apprehension and understand that silver is crucial to the province. You promise to amend the law so that the restrictions do not apply to silver mines. Thank you, Ryan Brante. Nobles who care about the needs of the common folk are few and far between. This is what you nobility really means. I share your belief that only a union of the estates will lead the Empire to order and prosperity. You can count on my support. Silver is the lifeblood of Magra. Today, you've not only saved us all from ruin, you've also made every Magran a little bit richer, self included. I'll make sure the Brontes get a share of the profits. And I promise you, Brante, this gunpowder will shatter those ancient rock formations and reveal their hidden treasure to us all. What? Your tenure as a judge has yielded considerable results. More and more often, common people come to the prefecture to assert their rights, and succeed in doing so. Some local villagers have even started coming to seek the court's protection. All over the province, there is talk that a new era has come, that the law is in fact the same for all. This morning, on your way to the prefecture, you anticipate a peaceful day full of paperwork. But as soon as you enter your office, Elborn rushes in after you. Don't sit down, Brante. You've been assigned an urgent investigation. This morning, tradeswoman old Mrs. Steiner came to the prefecture with her 2 grandchildren. She demands that we punish Sir Alverger for setting fire to her shop and trying to rob her. Well, the Steiners had just finished writing up the complaint when Alverger himself came bursting in. He immediately sued the Steiners for his own murder. I've come to warn you, Brante. Even though the Steiners were acting in self-defense, you still have to find in favor of Alverger. You're surprised to hear this from Alborn. Seeing your perplexed look, the prefect frowns. I'll explain. 4 lowborn shopkeepers like the Steiners wouldn't have dreamed of suing a nobleman. Everything was always decided in favor of the nobility. You may recall, but now the law has more power. Our efforts have not been in vain. However, now we're talking about the murder of a nobleman by commoners. I'm afraid these changes have been too drastic. The governing elite of the province are watching our every step. Justifying the murder of a nobleman would be going too far. The overseer and the magistrate might well decide that it's time to take back the common people's rights. We cannot let that happen, Ryan. Our court is in session. You are presiding over the Board of Justice. One bench is occupied by the somber Maximilian Alverger. His papers state that he is a nobleman of the sword living off his estate. He strokes the pommel of his sword nervously and breathes heavily, ready to explode in a fit of rage. On the other bench, you see the Steiners, the low-born owners of a well-known jewelry store. Anne Steiner, a short, wizened woman wrapped in several layers of dark silk, looks defiantly at Alverger. Her two grandchildren stand silently behind her, their faces impassive. Our squad noticed the fire at the Steiner shop. We stormed in and saw those Steiners standing over the dead body of Sir Alverga and watching it crumble to dust. The old woman shouted that she had to go to the prefecture, so we brought her and her grandchildren here, and Sir Alverga suffered a lesser death before our very eyes. Miscreants! Those low-born scum killed me! You sternly called the nobleman to order. The commoners will speak first. Sir Alverga showed up at our door at dawn and started banging on the door. We opened, despite him being completely drunk, scarcely able to stand on his feet. He demanded to see our pearls. But what I could do, I showed them to him, and then he started sweeping our pearls right into his own pockets. I tell him, those pearls are not free, sir. But he draws his sword. I'm a nobleman, he says. Everything should be free for me, such as your lot, he yells. Your lot is to work for me. Well, I explained that the pearls cost 20 coins, so he takes a lit lamp and smashes it on the floor, and then he charged at me with his sword. My grandchildren came to my rescue. They went and pushed him. They used no weapon naturally. Sir Alverga hit his temple against a showcase and fell. We came to see how he was, but he was already dying. Didn't kill him, his own anger did. So I didn't come here to confess to murder, but to ask you, Your Honor, to protect our family against this bloodsucker. We had a hard time putting the fire in the shop out after what that rascal did. You ungrateful old hag, you should have been delighted that I was taking your pearls. All of high society would have seen them. You're a blasphemer too, not knowing a lot. The lowborn must not contradict us nobles, it is forbidden. I know my lot, I'm supposed to be in command. So I'm in my right when I take what I want from the rabble, and His Honor the Judge will agree with me. Your Honor, I appeal to you, one nobleman to another. It's simply an outrage for the rabble to behave like this. Those little shopkeepers took my first life from me. Me, the heir to the Alverga legacy. I demand that these Steiners be hanged at once or burned at the stakes if they follow the heresy of Photis. Only the heretics deny their lot. There is commotion in the courtroom. Those who came to support the Steiners are infuriated by the nobleman's words. Alverga's noble friends frantically demand that the Lowburn be silenced. You call the court to order, but to no avail. The room will not calm down until you deliver your verdict. You rub your temple. If you manage to acquit the old lady, it will set a precedent for the entire empire. The Lowborn have never had the right to defend themselves with force against one another, let alone the nobles. You have the increased influence of the prefecture on your side. You can even try to legalize the right of the common people of Magra to defend their lives. Such a daring move will not succeed without the support of powerful people. You will remember Elborn's warning. What would the consequences of your decision be for the common folk of Anazot? Should you acquit the Steiners? Can you? Yes. Alright, so what does grant the right to self-defense? What does this do? Alright, so it gives power, plus 1 diplomacy. Patronage of the powerful. What would I have needed to get that? Silver tree. Oh! If I had sided with Duke Milanitis, I'm guessing. If I punish them, justice falls, but my diplomacy goes up. If I quit, ooh. No, we want to boost our diplomacy. Curtly and unemotionally, you deliver your verdict. The very same verdict the majority of people in the courtroom were expecting. Alverga's demand will be satisfied. The Steiners committed the murder of a nobleman. Their guilt is undeniable. Whether Alverga attacked them or not is of no consequence. The commoner may not raise his hand against the nobleman. The three of them will be hanged this very day. We've never expected anything good from the upper class before, so why start now? I've heard plenty of talk about your justice, but nothing's really changed. Shame on you, Judge. The trial is over. The old woman and her grandchildren are taken away to be prepared for the execution. Alverga lifts his hat politely and leaves. On your way out, you meet Alborn. The prefect follows you with a look of understanding. You spend the rest of the day pacing your office mindlessly. This trying day is finally at an end. Magra has received alarming news from the neighboring province of Illyria. The low-born convicts toiling in the Illyrian mines have revolted against their noble masters. For the first time in many long, peaceful years, commoners have taken up arms. Worse yet, the insurgents had guns and gunpowder, and no one knows how they got them. Gunpowder weapons were banned throughout the Emperor's empire as soon as they were invented. The lords deemed firearms dishonorable and unfit for the nobles. Even Legion soldiers were forbidden from using them. But now gunshots were echoing through the mutinous Illyrian mines. The Imperial Legion was deployed to quell the riot. The Legionnaires slaughtered the rebels without mercy, and the uprising choked to death on its own blood before it had even begun. The south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows. The convicts' corpses were left swaying in the wind as a warning to any commoner who might dare to take up arms. Although the rebellion quickly succumbed to the Imperial military's onslaught, many Legion soldiers and officers were slain by the insurgents' firearms. Their steel armor was no match for bullets. The rioters' weapons were destroyed in a public ceremony, but no one knows who built or smuggled them into the mines. All Imperial overseers soon issued public reminders in their provinces. Punishment for owning a gunpowder weapon is true death by execution. But the Empire is still restless, still anxious. Somehow guns found their way into commoners' hands, if only for a short time. Could gunpowder and lead one day endanger the old ways of the Empire? Authorities of Magra fear that unrest may soon spill over here. Due to the double tax, peasant farms and industrial manufactories are facing harsh times. The province's wealth is steadily declining, but the discontent of the commoners is still held back by the internal lot that demands they accept their suffering. Oh boy. You arrive at the office one fine morning and find a visitor already sitting there. The visitor is none other than Thomas Guerrero. His heavy uniform already bears a captain's chevrons. Thomas looks nervous, his fingers drumming a foreboding staccato on the desk. Why has your old friend decided to pay you a visit? You pat your friend on the shoulder and congratulate him on his promotion. Thomas shrugs, quietly brimming with pride. I got bumped up a month ago. Apparently the Legion is running short on decent officers, and then I realized why there are so few of them. Wish I knew my direct superior was going to be our very own Commander Autumn. Thomas grows grim at the mention of Autumn. Listen, buddy, you and me, we always help each other out, right? That Arcane bastard, well, he challenged me to a duel. For the second time, he cut me down a month ago. That was my second lesser death. I know I never told you, but it was tough. The gods, they spoke to me there in the hereafter. But right now, I got something worse to worry about than matters of the soul. See, Autumn, he remembers me from the time at the academy when I stood up to him at the party. Now he's gonna kill me again and again until my true death comes to duel. That's Autumn's way of having fun with his subordinates. And I'm asking you as a friend, will you be my second at the duel? I know Prefect Alborn doesn't like any kind of sword fighting. That's one of the old traditions he wants to put to a stop. But if I show up without a second, he won't just kill me for a third time. He'll dishonor me too. You knit your brow in thought. In the Prefect's opinion, dueling is a lawless tool of noble tyranny. Alborn sees duels as an outmoded way of circumventing the legal system. It would be crushed to learn that one of his judges had been involved in a duel. Thomas sighs heavily. I know this is hard, pal, but I've got no one else to turn to. All the boys in the Legion fear Alton like the plague. You're the only noble who can support me in this. But I know this duel won't be the end. Our great Sir Alton will find an excuse for a third duel before you know it. That'll be my last one for sure. Thomas rolls up the sleeve of his uniform. 2 pitch-black lines encircle his forearm. He is desperate, and it is easy to see why. One-on-one against an Arcane swordsman. He is doomed. The law forbids dueling, but if you refuse to show Thomas your support through your presence, your friend's spirit will be broken before his body can even be killed. You recall the previous encounters with Autumn in your youth. Is there a chance the distinguished Arcane still remembers you? If you go to him and speak in Thomas's defense, will he even bother to listen? Stop the duel from taking place. You've been best friends with Thomas ever since you were little boys. Does he really think you would abandon him to such a cruel fate? Dueling Autumn is suicide, but there is a much better way to emerge from this predicament. You tell Thomas you will meet with Autumn and make a deal with him. He will be safe from Autumn's harassment. Thomas slowly shakes his head, unconvinced. I'm happy you're so willing to help, buddy, but Autumn, he isn't going to listen. Even Arcane say he's a loose cannon. You're just another human to him. You're not even a noble of the sword. You tell him Otten will surely remember you, especially since you got his attention on several occasions. Back at the party in Eterna, Otten deigned to hear you out when Thomas first expressed desire. Surely you can do it again. You can try it, Brante, but I'm gonna prepare for the worst anyway. If Otten wants me dead, he's gonna have me dead sooner or later. Either way, thank you for being on my side. Before you leave to seek an audience with the commander, you asked Thomas for more information. What was Otten's excuse for challenging him to a duel this time? Here's what happened. Otten told me to head to a nearby village with a squad of Legion soldiers, Salmina it's called. The villagers refused to pay the Archduke's tax, said they already paid the tax to Gaius Tempest's men. He's the overseer, so the law says the tax is his. So Otten told me and the lads to string up a couple of the rowdiest peasants and put their houses to the torch to teach the rest of them a lesson. So we went there, and let me tell you, buddy, I didn't join the Legion to start hanging people and burning villages, but we decided to have a word with the village elder first. The locals soon realized what was going on. Losing money is one thing, but losing a spare life is worse. They hemmed and hawed and finally found enough cash to pay Archduke Milonitis. Which means we came back to Anazot with nobody dead and all the money for the treasury. But then the commander summons me and claims I didn't follow his order. Which means I also slighted the honor of the noble Octian who's my commander. So he challenges me to a duel. And you know what? I'm not the first, Brante, and I'm not the last. Any officer in the Legion could end up like me. Otten does as he sees fit. No plans to stop. He's a commander. He's a noble of the sword. He's an Octian. We're just dirt under his boot. Who's gonna rein him in? His story over, Thomas leaves your office. Wasting no time, you head for the Magra Armory, the headquarters of the province's high commander. You approach the ancient barracks built of ruddy red stone. Between those walls and the outside world stands a tall fence. The same fence encircles the field nearby. Ever since the old days of the Arcanian Republic, this has been the training ground of the armed militia. It does not take you long to find Otten. He is in a square in front of the armory, inspecting the uniforms of lined-up Legion troops, looking intently for faults. Captain, if I notice that even one of your 100 troops is not in compliance with the uniform code, I will take it as a personal insult. You don't wish to insult my honor, do you, Captain? The Legion captain in question stands before him. He promises to do his best, his voice shaking. Satisfied, Otten takes a seat and begins reading an essay on military strategy. You seize this opportune moment to approach the commander, tactfully draw his attention and introduce yourself. Brante. Oh, yes, aren't you the same young man my old servant girl Sophia got mixed up with? I wonder what happened to that little tart. So you grew up to become a prefecture judge, I see. Not much of a step up from a commoner, but I will grant you a bit of my time. What brings you here? You explain. You are here to petition for Captain Thomas Guerrero. He will never reject a duel when his honor is on the line, but Sir Otten must surely realize that the duel will not even be an even one. Will the esteemed High Commander of Magra be kind enough to choose a different officer for his exercise? Surely a swordmaster such as the esteemed Sir Otten can find no shortage of clumsy, slow-burn soldiers to duel. You don't think I don't know what I want, Brante? You think I can't decide for myself? That son of a whore Guerrero had the nerve to disobey my orders. He insulted me, and I will not allow such a stain upon the honor of my family. You think your pitiful excuses will change this? You humbly ask the commander to show mercy to a man who was but a commoner a few years before. Show mercy, you say? Well then, I agree, but only on one condition. He must quit my legion immediately. I'll strip him of his captain's rank and pay, and then he will leave and never show himself again, or that will be his final insult. If your pitiful friend is willing to throw away a noble title and end his days in poverty, I have no desire to fight him. No Arcanian would ever duel such lowly filth. Tell me to bring his letter of resignation in person. Remember this, I granted you my time only because of all the pleasant memories of my Sophia. Do not expect me to hear your groveling again in the future. You and your family ought to consider whether scum such as Guerrero is worth your trouble. It's time to break the news to Thomas. He looks very conflicted when he learns of the deal you have struck with Otten. Really? Otten agreed to let me leave the Legion? Can't believe he even bothered to hear you out. Does that mean I'm finally free from his harassment? Thank you, my friend. You've saved me from true death. But if I leave the Legion, what will I do then? That's the most humiliating thing there is. All the work I put into joining the military would be wasted. I have no job, no pay, and I'd never be a nobleman again. I have to think about this, but one way or another, you have bought me some time. I still have 2 lives left. All thanks to you, buddy. The day after your meeting with Thomas, time slows to a crawl. As you examine one case after another, you cannot help but think back to your friend and his fate again and again. There is a knock at the door. Baron Elborn, the prefect, has decided to pay you a visit. I have a matter to discuss with you, Brante. Would you mind if we take a walk? Getting a little bit stuffy in here. The prefect clearly wants to discuss something in private. You walk down the stairs together and leave the prefecture. Soon, the two of you are walking down the noisy streets of the Brass District. The wind is strong today, the gray sky mercifully overcast. The people around you are bartering, buying, and selling eagerly. The streets are full of craftsmen and factory workers. Merchant carts squeak as they roll down the streets. The head of the prefecture looks more worried than usual, lost in thought as he observes the bustling street life around him. Brante, do you recall how we talked about the tyranny of the nobility in the province? Dorius Auten, the high commander of Magra, is on a murderous spree. He challenges his subordinates to a duel for the slightest infraction and slaughters them with impunity. If our law is unable to protect anyone from the violent tyranny of the Arcanians, who will ever respect the law? It's time we put an end to this. As long as I am in charge of the prefecture, establishing the rule of law over people of all estates and titles is our most important task. But people like Auten stand in our way, people who think themselves above the law. We need to prove them wrong. I have been informed that Auten has pressured your childhood friend, Captain Thomas Guerrero, into a duel, and I believe Sir Guerrero sought your assistance in private, am I right? You admit that it is so. Indeed, as an old friend, Thomas is counting on you to defend him. And so, young Brante, I believe that to be reason enough to entrust this case to you officially. If you find yourself doubting your abilities, know that you are my best candidate. No other judge would have the courage to prosecute an Arcanian. That, and I trust you more than any ordinary judge. I spoke to your father, but even he would not accept this undertaking. He says your family has worked too hard to be ennobled by the sword to risk it all now. You bear no such burden, do you? As it stands right now, sentencing an Arcanian even to the smallest punishment is unthinkable, but drop by drop, water by water can wear down any stone. We will make our way to Auten, but we must do it slowly and carefully. What we need is a perfectly prepared case. We need to find enough incontrovertible evidence and enough witnesses who are willing to testify in court. But I'm sure even you realize that this won't be enough to force an Arcanian to go to trial, don't you, Ryan? We have to change the unspoken rules in our city and province. We'll start with lower-ranking people, lower-ranking cases, and little by little, we'll establish rules that even high-born nobles will have to obey. All of a sudden, Elborn stops, standing in the middle of a street bustling with life. He points out a number of commoners hurrying about their business. Just look. All these people need to know that there is such a thing as justice. The law must apply to them all, no matter their lot. Whether suffering, praying, or ruling, they need to know they can rely on us judges to enforce the law against anyone and everyone. I'm counting on you in this, Sir Brante. You stand motionless as Elborn studies you intently. From now on, from this moment forth, you will prosecute a case against the High Commander of Magra, a high-born Arcanian from an ancient dynasty. This is a pivotal moment in your destiny and your career. You could rise higher than ever or plunge into obscurity and ruin. You decide to talk about Thomas and his fate. Right now, he represents your best chance at getting Auten indicted, but there is absolutely no guarantee he will live to speak at trial. If you are to oversee this case, ensuring his safety has to be the first thing you do. You're right, Brante. We need Thomas Guerrero to see this to the end. But remember, this is about more than just your friend and his fate. This is a matter of law and justice for the entire province. The peril to Sir Thomas's life is great indeed, but if you openly defy the High Commander right now, your standing will suffer accordingly. You can find a safe shelter for Thomas away from Auten. But if Thomas remains in the city, he might be of use when you begin looking for Auten's other victims. I realize you are looking for a way to rescue your friend, but right now we must all use caution, lest our entire cause suffer. What say you, Ryan? What is your plan? If we let him roam freely, the career goes up. If we take him to custody, my family loses some reputation, but that's not big of it. I think it's gonna be that one. That seems to be the best option. Shit, this is... Damn. Damn, I'm really conflicted here. That would be good. I mean... No, we need to get our reputation up. Yeah, we're gonna sacrifice the money. You informed the prefect that the safety of Thomas Guerrero is already assured. You asked Dawson to spare him. All that remains is for Thomas to submit his letter of resignation from the Legion and reject his officer's rank and noble title. Once that is done, he will be safe. Is that true, Brante? Sir Otten actually took your request to heart. Color me amazed. I wonder what the commander would say if he knew he was aiding his own accuser. This will be a major blow to Sir Guero's honor, but the safety of our most crucial witness will be assured. I'll leave this matter to you then. We should get back to work. Begin preparing the case at once. Back at the office, you send a note to Thomas's address. A brief request to visit you at the prefecture as soon as possible. He returns to your office that evening. You have not seen him for just one day, but he looks a decade older. It pains you to see him so downcast. But you have news. Otten is well on his way toward being punished for his crimes. You're building a case against the High Commander of Magra, and Thomas absolutely has to participate in the trial as the main witness and tell the whole truth about the lawless tyranny of the haughty Archnean. Whew! Upon hearing these words, Thomas stands tall again. You spy a wicked spark in his eyes, a glimmer familiar from the years when you both were young. My oh my, the Brante boy next door wants to put an Archnean behind bars. Count me in, buddy. I'll bear witness all right now. I'm gonna have myself a good rant about that highborn bastard. You ask your friend to pace himself for now. What Thomas needs right now is protection against Otten's harassment. You have struck a deal with the commander. It is crucial that Thomas accept this deal and leave the Legion. This means his days as an officer and a nobleman will end, but his life will continue free from Otten's endless persecution. Oh, I didn't expect being ennobled by the mantle to be like this. My parents worked their fingers to bone to send me to the academy, and I wanted to leave the commoner's lot behind me for good, living a free life, fighting the good fight, defending the Empire from any threat, and this is what the Empire gives me in return? Yeah, buddy, I was so naive. Life doesn't work that way. Turns out, being a noble doesn't mean being free. On the contrary, every day you do nothing but bow to all the people who can't wait to order you around. I'm less free now than I ever was. I need a moment to pull myself together, then I'll go to Otten and submit my letter. Just the thought of giving him my sword and leaving the uniform behind hurts so much. At least I'll be alive. It's time to remember the lowborn lot. From within your desk, you produce a hefty bag full of gold coins. Push the bag closer to Thomas. He stares back at you, uneasy, not sure what it means. You follow up the gift with an explanation. Losing his sword and title means losing his pay, but you would never abandon your friend in his honor, in his hour of need. The contents of the bag should be enough for him to get a fresh start. You don't have to do that, but thank you. Thank you, my friend. I'll never forget what you've done for me. Whatever happens, you can count on me anytime. Inspired by your support, Thomas gets up from his seat and absentmindedly adjusts his sword. He notices this habit and chuckles sadly, then unbuckles the sword and leaves. Your friend's noble rank and title are forfeit, but he will remain safe. You are left alone in your office again, alone with a case against a highborn Archnean who could annihilate you utterly with a single word. We need to get some money back. A holy day is coming, a day when the entire Empire thanks the twins for the silver tree, the sign they left behind as a reminder of their eternal presence in this world. This momentous occasion is especially important for Anazot, but the clergy cannot agree on how best to celebrate it. Father Leonard has called for all worshippers of the twins to approach the temple of the silver tree and kneel before the sacred relic. But the old clergy balks at the idea of Leonard and the new believers leading the ritual. The day has come, an immense crowd is moving in a procession toward the temple near the silver tree, where Father Leonard awaits. But an inquisitor by the name of Jane stands in their way. He strikes a defiant pose. Confronted by a member of the Holy Order of the Inquisition, the procession reluctantly stops. People turn back. Those who attend Leonard's rite will succumb to the new faith. Those who reject the lots will defy the divine design. You're about to bring the wrath of the gods down upon us all. Open your eyes, go back to your homes, and pray to the twins. The procession wants to move, but the people are confused until Father Leonard himself walks out of the temple to meet Jean face to face. People of Anazat, no one has the right to deny you the sacred ritual of worshipping at the tree, not even the Inquisition. Is such a denial not more likely to provoke the wrath of the twins? The Inquisition must know that the new faith does not seek to challenge or defy the twins. We are merely trying to correct the mistakes of those who came before us. We do not anger the twins, we merely vex those who refuse to accept the dawn of a new age. Jean finds herself between a rock and a hard place. Seeing that she has no other choice, she lets the procession pass. The new faith's numbers have swelled of late. Cannot be stopped now. Today is an important holiday. The entire empire is celebrating the festival of the Silver Tree, which commemorates the parting gift of the twin gods, the divine sapling they planted in our mortal world in the middle of Anazot. The families of the city spend the day in peace and quiet, contemplating the divine roots that join together all people, their bloodlines, in the entire empire. Mother always oversees this holiday. The day before the festival, she seemed to have shaken off her usual apathy and engaged in the preparations with excitement. It was as though her illness has loosened its grip. Mother gathers the entire family for the holiday meal. Father is in high spirits today, sharing jokes with you and Nathan. Stefan is trying to suppress an atypical agitation. Gloria is the last to join you at the table. She is wearing new breeches with high stockings and a yellow vest. Gloria, you're wearing men's clothes again. No, Mother, I'm wearing clothes women are forbidden to wear. Father gives Gloria a stern look. Stefan rolls his eyes but says nothing. Suddenly, Nathan speaks up. A few days ago in the market, I saw a grocer dressed as Overseer Gaius Tempest. He had a huge carrot for a scepter. He got a sound drubbing, of course, but until then, it was quite a hoot. Everybody laughs at the ridiculous story, relieved. Even Gloria has a smile on her face when she sits down. Peace commences. Your home finally feels warm for a moment. It wasn't so long ago the four of you couldn't ever reach up to this table. First year you said Gloria was gimme. Nathan used to cling to my skirt all the time, almost tearing it, and you, Ryan, you couldn't talk at all yet. But your piercing stare was so expressive it felt as if you were talking to me. Mother looks at Stefan and suddenly grows quiet. When I met Stefan, he was already 3 years old. He was so serious and a smooth talker to boot. I remember that he had a music teacher, but he was too shy to play in front of me, so I used to listen from the next room. Stefan's face twitches. Your elder brother rises and moves to the old harpsichord. His fingers fly gracefully over the keys. A melody fills the house, melancholy and sweet. The last note lingers in the air, then silence falls. Family is awestruck. Words fail you all. Who wrote that? A nobleman from the capital between drinking a glass of wine and beating a servant? Your sister's cutting remark puts an end to the warm, cozy atmosphere. Stefan calmly turns to face her. No, it was I who composed this piece of music. It is called Mother. Mother rises to her feet. She would have needed help to do this just recently, but now she treads unassisted towards Stefan and draws him close. Stefan puts his arms around his stepmother's waist, then detaches himself awkwardly. May the twin gods bless you, Lydia. Gloria considers this scene with thinly veiled fury in her eyes. Of course, highborn nobles like Stefan are made for the arts. They're the only ones lucky enough to have a soul and experience inspiration, unlike us lowborn. We aren't supposed to feel anything but suffering, let alone express it in poetry. Everyone notices that Gloria's clutching pages filled with writing her poems. Your sister casts a mournful glance at the family, and her eyes rest on you. We lose unity. No matter what, we lose unity. Let Gloria read the poems. You rise from your seat and speak. In your speech, you wholeheartedly support your sister. Gloria had the misfortune to be born a commoner, but she is still entitled to express her feelings. Why is Stefan the only one who has the right to delight Mother with his creation? Every member of our family should be equal. But what about her lot, son? Gloria is permitting herself to practice a noble activity, thus breaching the divine order. You softly explain, Mother, that times have changed. Nowadays, art isn't just a pleasure for the nobles, it's also a trade plied by many commoners. More and more low-born tradespeople are taking up the pen and ink rather than the hammer. This is now their labor and their suffering. Mother lets out a heavy sigh but yields to the onslaught of your inspired speech. Emboldened by your support, Gloria steps in the center of the room. Her eyes are fixed on Father. A stranger and a bastard I am called. I am, but still I long for you to say that I am yours and melt the icy cold that burns within my heart both night and day. My mother and my brothers are all are near, but I feel cold as though we were apart. Ashamed yet still compelled to make you hear, I long to hold you closely to my heart. I am a stranger, 'tis my only crime. Forgive me, oh, but mercy is forbidden. I hope you'll see, if not forgive in time, my bitter love both joyous and well hidden. Father stares at her in bewilderment. Gloria, Stefan springs to his feet and leaves for his chamber, slamming the door behind him. I don't feel so well. Nathan, son, please, help me to my room. Mother leaves the room, leaning on Nathan's arm. The celebration is cut short. Ooh, rendezvous with Octavia. Octavia and you do not see each other very often. Sometimes the days wear on, you forget about your unusual liaison. But then the Archduke's daughter bursts into your life and you abandon yourselves to passion until she disappears again. Today, Octavia is waiting for you at her summer home in the city. It is a cozy little villa, well concealed from prying eyes by a high fence. Beyond the fence is a glorious garden. We've never seen one so beautiful in Magra. Octavia meets you on the veranda. She is wearing a light white frock that leaves her shoulders exposed. Scandalous. Her black hair cascades down her back. You bow to Lady Leonidas. He grins and draws you toward her so that you sit down by her side. The sun is melting beyond the horizon. Octavia commands her servants to leave you alone. Tonight she is strangely pensive, barely touching her food and drink. You cautiously inquire if anything is amiss. Listen to me, Ryan. I'm at a crossroads. My father, the Archduke, is planning to send me out of Magra for a while. Apparently, in his opinion, my escapades are bound to cause trouble for our family. Octavia stands up, towering above you. Her eyes burn with a menacing flame. I am a daughter of the great family of Milonitis, an Archnean born at the peak of the world. All shall tremble before me. And that's so, Ryan Brante. Before you can reply, Octavia abruptly lowers her head, downhearted. I am not free, just like you, my dear human Brante. I have a duty to my family, to my blood tie, to the Empire. My whole life, all I have ever done is fulfill obligations created by others. I have no aspirations. Everything is preordained. What the world is like, how I ought to live, what my father doesn't decide for me. Those two up on the peak of the shining pillar already have. I'm looking for a way out of this cage. It must exist. I study history, but all I find are tidbits of lost knowledge, but I believe that I'm not the first to try to escape the chains of this world. What am I to do, Ryan? You yearn to break free of the fetters of fate just as I do. You have escaped the commoner's lot and joined the higher estate, but your new lot is just as much of a prison, isn't it? Could it really be that none of us will ever be free? Octavia looks into your eyes dolefully. You have never seen her so helpless before. Let's see, so Ray's career. Boink. Okay. Yeah, we'll do share our revelation. That one seems to be the best. No. Do the conversation. Take advantage of our patron. You refrain from answering her question and silently lay your head on Octavia's knees. The Archnean caresses your hair pensively and gazes into the distance where the eternal line of the shining pillar is glowing. You attempt to calm Octavia down, to distract her with idle talk and amuse her with society gossip. but heavy thoughts remain in the mind of your patroness. You wouldn't understand, Ryan. Only yesterday you were a commoner. You're used to humility. You will endure patiently the notion that your fate is not in your hands. Even obtaining nobility will change nothing. Am I, an Archnean, Octavia Milonitis, destined for the same? No, I will continue looking for a way out of this cage, and one day I will find it. You obediently echo Octavia's words. Certainly your lady will find her own way, and you will be delighted to help her find it. Octavia smiles in reply. I'm afraid it was an error to discuss spiritual matters with a human. Don't worry. I won't involve you in my quest. Oh, fuck. Hold on, can we... Fuck. Metaphysical pursuits are simply beyond you. You are troubled by matters far closer to Earth, aren't you? You admit that Lady Octavia is right. Your career is progressing far too slowly, and the Brante name is still firmly linked with the notorious Prefect Alborn. It would be beneficial to show a noble society that the Brontes have other patrons too. So this is what's on your mind. How painfully dreary. Very well then, my Ryan. I'll drop the name Brante at a few stuffy receptions. Even the most slow-witted among us will gather that you are in the good graces of the Archduke's family. You caress Octavia's hand gratefully. She snatches it from you and turns away. I'm not in the mood for pleasure tonight. Leave. I'll keep my promise. You comply with your patroness's command. On your way down the dark promenade, you turn around. Her lonely figure is still staring intently into the heavens. Your actions result in well-earned progress up the professional ladder. You are expected to have a glorious future in the field of law. You receive more and more invitations to balls and noble gatherings. High-ranking nobles wish to befriend you. Powerful people have been keeping a close eye on your ascent. Today, a personal letter from the magistrate Remy Alverman is delivered to your home. Sir Ryan Brante, I would like to further our acquaintance and discuss certain matters over a glass of Illyrian. I will expect you at my estate this afternoon. Accompanied by servants, you walk down the imposing enfilade of Alverman's granite manor. Gold, tapestry, stone carvings of ancestors' profiles compared to this luxury. Your own home seems tiny and cramped. Alverman greets you by the fire. At home, the influential ruler of the city seems peaceful and amiable. Judge Brante, pray come in. I'm delighted to see you again. Servants, pour us some wine. Please, have some, Ryan. Though your most recent deeds call for much more than a glass of Illyrian. I'll be frank, after our first encounter I had my doubts about your trustworthiness, but now you have proven by your actions that you have a future. You sip the wine. It is excellent, as expected. You calmly reply that you strive to serve the Empire and the Prefecture faithfully and in the manner you deem proper. I am overjoyed to see that the younger generation honors our traditions and cares about the fate of our nation. We have that in common, you and I. Many see me as merely power-hungry, but why would power itself be of interest to me? My family is already powerful and wealthy. Its position is secure for many generations to come. No, my friend, I need power to save the city that is entrusted to me from a grave threat. Take a look around. More and more insurgents are preparing a bloody uprising among the common folk. The new faith compels people to defy their lots. The foundation of the Empire has been shaken. What do you think? Will a new world be born from this? Those who hope to see this happen seem to have forgotten that our world was created in accordance with the twins' design. We are already on the cusp of provoking their wrath. Alverman is becoming truly incensed. Apparently, the fate of the Empire is not just a subject of idle chatter for him. You must understand, Brante. I've seen plenty of starry-eyed idealists yearning to change the world, and I know where those dreams lead. We have trespassed against the sacred order, and now we are on the verge of the wrath of the gods. I am a nobleman and a citizen of the Empire, and it is my duty to save this world from ruin. While the Overseer and the Archduke persist in their futile squabble, the danger is growing. It is time to take matters into own hands. I'm seeking allies, the people who stand by my side to protect the city and the Empire. I hope you have the courage to become one of us. Let me speak plainly, Prefect Alborn. Prefect Alborn is, alas, among those who are dragging us toward our destruction. He aims to subject all estates to the tyranny of the law. He seems to have forgotten that the law must serve the good of the Empire and be a mainstay of order. But Alborn wishes to disrupt this order. He is pushing for the lowborn to gain power. What do you suppose will be the first thing to do once they get it? They'll take up arms and destroy this country. Alborn has doomed himself to a shameful fall. Meanwhile, the city needs someone at the helm of the prefecture who is bound by honor and concerned about the fate of the empire. You can be that someone, Brante. You stare at your glass of wine, trying to hide your feelings. If you prove yourself worthy in the future, Sir Brante, I can promise you the post of the prefect of Magra. I hope you see it not only as a chance to elevate yourself, but also to make your mark on history. Side with me, and together we will save Anazat from the uprising. If you remain Alborn's servant, you both will lose and fall together. Alright, so because I promised him, I cannot. Oh no, because I made a deal with Eggman. Damn, that would bump our career up so bad. Alright, so I don't want to... We lose career. Silence. You hold the magistrate's heavy stare and respond calmly that you are not prepared to make any promises. You thank Alverman for his trust, but you are a judge of the prefecture and you already have a superior. Alverman frowns, shakes his head disdainfully, and rises from his chair. I'm very sorry to hear that, Sir Brante. I had high hopes for you. We could have achieved so much together. Soon you'll see that you've chosen the wrong side. Farewell. Back at home, you describe your conversation with the magistrate to your father. Alverman's threatening tone is alarming. An enemy as powerful as the magistrate could turn the nobility of Anazat against your family. I'm proud of you for staying loyal to our friend Alborn. The magistrate is a dirty schemer who is only using this talk of honor and protecting the empire as cover. Don't worry about the family. I'll make sure to talk to the noble families of the city in advance in order to get ahead of the magistrate's plot. Hopefully this will be enough to protect our reputation against his slander. Your father's efforts to thwart Alverman's schemes have been successful so far, but your feud with the magistrate has a damaging effect on your career. The documents you prepare to take weeks to be signed. Obtaining an audience or arranging a meeting is frequently impossible. You'll hear anxious whispers behind your back. Ryan Brante crossed the ruler of the city. You're clear of him. Ah! Oh! Oh! News from the capital quickly reaches every corner of the empire. Darian and Flavius, the heirs to the throne, have left the emperor's palace for the province of Monia, which is ruled by the great chancellor Agerius Monroe. The great chancellor has accused the emperor's court of harboring malefactors conspiring against the imperial heirs. This is why he has offered them shelter and safety in his own impregnable citadel. The common people are particularly worried by the news. They take it as a sign that the chancellor is seeking to solidify his power by holding the heirs hostage. If this continues, Monroe could coerce the emperor into revoking the imperial law, thus depriving the common state of any and all rights. All hope for reform in the empire has vanished. From farmer to rich industrialist, the commoners are growing desperate. In your province, the authorities are trying their best to put the people at ease. The magistrate of Anazat makes a speech from his balcony to the excited crowd below. Whew. Trust in your emperor, good people. The imperial heirs are the future of the great Tempest dynasty. The emperor has made the wise decision to send them far away from the scheming court. Great Chancellor Monroe will take good care of them and keep them safe. All glory to the empire. All glory to the Tempests. Oh shit, we need to get our justice up again. Wait, where is our... Yeah, no, our justice. You are walking up the marble stairs that lead to the doors of the prefecture. The sword of the younger twin, carved from stone, looms above the doors, just as the case of Dorius Otten now looms over you. Preparing this case will take many long months or even years. The words of Prefect Alborn are evidence of enough of that. And time and again, you will ask yourself, are you ready to see this case through to the end? Father meets you at the stairs, and judging by the dour look about him, news of your most recent case has already reached him. And I didn't want to discuss this back home. Melbourne is our friend, and I stand by him at all times, but he's dragged you into something that is far too dangerous. I'm not going to repeat your grandfather's mistakes, so I won't tell my son how to live his life or what to do. But I ask you to please consider our family. Would it be worth it to let us come to harm, even if the triumph of justice and law is at stake? There are already rumors at the prefecture. They say you are getting ready to summon a highborn Archnian to court. Soon these rumors will spread beyond the prefecture walls. You and I are both Brantes. Perhaps we ought to stay away from something so dangerous. Some battles are too ugly for us to win. You can always slow down the process and bide your time with routine paperwork. Avoid attracting unwanted attention. This way, your career and our family honor would not be at risk. Trust me in this, son. Rather than making a selfless sacrifice, we can achieve far more through tireless service for the good of the law. You promise, Father, you will consider his words. You say goodbye and return to your office. You are at a crossroads. If you are to make any headway in the case against Auden, you have to start now, while the trail of his misdeeds is still fresh. You have little first-hand knowledge of Auden's criminal wrongdoings, only Thomas's stories and what you have seen for yourself. Turning this case into a trial requires far more evidence than that. Your friend could be the key to the entire case. If he can help you find the other men who have suffered under the remorseless Archnian, Thomas is a hunted man. He has every reason to lay low and steer clear of the courthouse. If Thomas can put you in touch with other victims and witnesses among the soldiers and officers of the Legion, perhaps you could gather evidence yourself. But the Legion may meet a lone outsider such as you with too much resistance. Things might get ugly. You consider your options. Apart from Thomas, who else could help you gather compelling evidence against the commander? Auden is an Archnian from an ancient dynasty. Anyone involved will hold their tongue no matter what. The way things are right now, not a single soul would risk angering the Audens to aid a middling judge from an unknown family. Unless an even more highborn Archnian chooses to support your cause. Gaius Tempest, the Imperial Overseer of Magra, the Emperor's own brother. Every aristocrat in the province knows he detests Dorius Auden for remaining loyal to Archduke Milonitis. Ensuring the Overseer's support would increase your authority greatly, and give you a chance to gather evidence against Auden without Thomas lifting a finger. But the Imperial Overseer is one step above the Prefect, your immediate superior. You can only address Gaius Tempest directly if you keep it a secret from Elborn. Meeting directly with the Overseer of the province means defining your loyalty to Elborn. Are you willing to do this? Puzzled, you start pacing around your office. It is time to decide how you will begin this case. Depending on what you choose, the case against Auden could lead you to unprecedented success, or end your career, or even your very own life. So we gained valor and scheming. Fuck that. That gets us nothing. Damn, her reputation is just one short. I would have loved to have gotten that. Oh, fuck. We need Thomas's help. Thomas is trying his best to keep out of Auden's way, but justice demands evidence, so he has to help you gather it. You sent Thomas a request to meet with you, fully confident that your friend will not turn you away. Thomas takes almost no time to reply, just as you expected. You meet at one of his favorite taverns in the Brass District. Honestly, pal, I gotta be as quiet as a temple mouse right now, or else His Excellency might remember I exist. I guess there's no way around it if it's the only way to get the bastard. The deal, Ryan. I'll introduce you to all the Legion men I know. Down your glass and let's go. Together, you visit a number of Legion officers who have already met a lesser death in a duel with Auden. All of them nobles of the mantle, ennobled only recently, young and full of potential to serve the good of the Empire. None of them are eager to speak of the duel. All of them are anxious to avoid getting challenged again. For many of them, another duel would be their last. You have to trust us, please. I suffered at his hands just like you, but I won't let him get away with it. Don't you want the Archnians to stop threatening us with violence all the time? All of us? You! All the fresh recruits for the Legion. Judge Brante is going to see this through to the end. He's going to indict him. Auden's Archnian ancestry isn't going to stand in his way. Thomas's fervor tips the scales. His surviving brothers in arms from the Legion finally agree to have their statements committed to ink and paper. Their testimony paints a picture. There is a method to Otten's madness, you realize. All of the officers disobeyed the commander at least once or expressed their disagreement, no matter how respectfully. More and more officers are starting to realize that Otten's loyalty lies with Archduke Milonitis and not his lawful superior, the Overseer. So more and more officers are getting challenged by Otten. Have Otten's duels gone beyond his passion for sword fighting, or are they just an excuse to eliminate any suspicion of his treason? The relatives of the officers who have met true death in a duel are the hardest to convince. Widows, mothers, fathers, they all say the same thing with the same grim expression. They have nothing to complain about, nothing can be done anymore. The officer met his death in the line of duty, and that is all. But Thomas is persistent, and eventually he persuades them to admit that their husbands and relatives all met their end at Otten's hands. In all those duels and deaths, you begin to notice a trend. None of them were sanctioned or monitored by the Court of Honor. Noble tradition demands that every sword fight be sanctioned by noble society and overseen by a representative of the Court of Honor. But Otten thinks himself above even the noble traditions of old. When all is done, you thank Thomas from the bottom of your heart. You would have never taken these statements without his aid. It's nothing, we're friends, aren't we? It's high time someone put an end to his beastly behavior. I'll always be there to help you beat down that ugly blue freak. But I better lay low for now. If Otten hears of me snooping around with you and asking about his duels, there'll be curtains for me. The once thin folder against Otten grows fatter by the day as you write down every instance and incident, every name, every circumstance. One day, Prefect Alborn pays you a visit to see your progress firsthand. You've done great work, Brante. Commander Otten is even bothering to cover his tracks, I must say. This evidence alone would be enough to indict anyone save for an Arknian nobleman, sadly. So your work here is far from over. I see you realize that. The way things stand right now, summoning an Arknian's trial in a court of law would indict us rather than him. It would be best to postpone the case for now, but keep the folder safe and secure. If we want to have any chance of getting him indicted in court, we need to make the nobles in the province recognize duels as acts of murder. This means defying a tradition of old, a road perilous and seldom traveled. It means enforcing the rule of law over the Anazok gentry. For now, Sir Brante, return to your other duties and pay particular attention to any dueling incidents. We'll take our next step against Sir Bolton when the time is right. Dun dun! The justice requirement for Otten is... Ooh. What's going on here? Hold on, let's see here. Your home is quiet tonight. Father is away, arbitrating disputes in Mogren villages. Stefan is visiting one of his high-placed patrons. After a dinner spent in silence, everyone retreats to their chambers. You're about to retire for the night when Gloria calls out to you. Ryan, wait a minute. I have an important favor to ask you. Your sister leads you to her longtime refuge, the library. Here in the shadows between the bookcases, you will not be overheard. Brother, I wish to speak with you before Stefan returns. His scheming is becoming unbearable. It's beyond Sir Robert's power to stop him, let alone Mother or Nathan. You're my only hope. You shrug. All families argue from time to time, but every quarrel has to end sooner or later. Yes, it will end when Stefan finally gets rid of me. As far as he's concerned, I'm just a stumbling block and a stain on his father's good name. He lets me stay in the house only to avoid causing a scandal in high society, but as soon as the Brontes get his precious nobility of the sword, I'll be out on the street in the blink of an eye. Ryan, you don't want me to get kicked out of the family, do you? Please, help me. I need to convince Sir Robert to adopt me and make me legitimate. After that, it won't be so easy for Stefan to depose me. And then I won't bear the stigma of being a bastard anymore. I know Sir Robert would agree, if only by virtue of the love he has for our mother, but Stefan is standing in his way. Tell me, will you help me? An illegitimate child who has never known her father, a stranger in the family. Gloria looks at you with hopeful, pleading eyes. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Duh. You give Gloria a firm embrace. Ever since you were children, she has always been by your side. The two of you may have different fathers, but she is your sister and she must remain a member of this family. It is your duty to come to her aid. You will make sure Gloria becomes a Brante. Gloria lets out a sigh of relief and hugs you back. It makes me so happy to know that you're on my side. You wait for Stefan to come home. Your brother returns from his visit mirthful and in high spirits. This is the perfect moment to have a talk. That went splendidly, brother. Magistrate Elm Vermin himself will support us. I'm on a friendly footing with his son now. It won't be long before we become nobles of the sword. Why are you still up? You raise the matter of your sister. The feud between Stefan and Gloria must end. Your brother seems to be unaware of how much damage it is inflicting on the family, but you know how to remedy it. The reason for everything is Gloria's lowly station. She should bear the Brante name. Your brother assumes a bored me in. Don't waste your time, brother. I know what Gloria's after. You mentioned damage to the family. Can you even fathom what this would mean for the Brante family? By allowing an illegitimate child into his family, our father would cover us all with an indelible shame. Several generations of Brontes to come would not even dare to dream of becoming nobles by the sword. By the twin gods, I will not let that happen. You attempt to point out to Stefan that Gloria's desperate situation is leading her to more and more audacious escapades. If your sister becomes a member of this family, she will stop. Believe me, Ryan, I want to see Gloria at peace as much as you do, but not at the cost of our entire family's future. Absolutely not. I have a different idea for Gloria, and I'm sure the solution will satisfy everyone involved. Good night. You let your sister know of Stefan's vehement denial. Gloria is so vexed she is shaking. So he wouldn't even hear us out, is that it? He's willing to do anything just to drive me out, isn't he? Ryan, we need to think of something. Gloria will continue her battle for the right to stay with the family, and you have promised to help her. The sun is setting on a cold, windy day as you return from the prefecture. To your surprise, a messenger awaits you at the door with an urgent letter from Sir Elborn. You open the letter. Brante, there's an urgent case that I must trust to you. We have just received a report of a secret society formed by young nobles. The Archduke's family may be involved. This concerns me. I suspect a possible plot to depose Overseer Tempest. Normally, the secret chancellery handles all such cases, but I'd rather investigate the rumors of the plot before there is any action. Preventing unnecessary bloodshed and disgrace would be prudent. We want to investigate this matter as soon as possible. The gendarmes tracked down a suspicious nobleman by the name of Alexis Alance. Based on his confession, a meeting of this society will be held tonight. Unfortunately, this is all we were able to learn from him. The Alance family is of too high standing for more thorough questioning. Fortunately, all members of this secret society wear masks when attending meetings. We acquired Alance's personal mask and will ensure that he is late to the meeting. You should be able to impersonate him quite easily. We will attend the meeting tonight and learn as much as possible about the secret society. This will allow us to foil a dangerous plot or save many young people from the secret chancellery. This letter includes a delicate gilded mask of intricate workmanship. Fortunately, it fits your face perfectly. It seems your plans for tonight have changed. Following the prefect's instructions, you come at the appointed hour to an inconspicuous mansion on the edge of Anazat with a spacious yard and a tall fence around it. The gatekeepers bow and open the gate as soon as they see you. It seems the mask is enough to convince them you belong inside. Inside the yard, you see noble carriages, many more than you had expected. You are ushered into a dressing room of sorts. A change of clothes already awaits you inside. It is a curious garb, a square of flowing, sparkling cloth with clasps and cords to keep it from unwrapping. You have never seen anything like it. With this strange robe and the gilded mask over your normal clothes and face, you cannot help but feel rather silly. This attire feels positively unsuitable for any kind of plotting or scheming. Next, you proceed to a large room. The windows are covered in black cloth to keep prying eyes away, but you forget about it moments later. What seems to be a strange performance is playing out before your very eyes. You hear droning, unfamiliar music coming seemingly from nowhere. See candlelight dancing and glimmering. Ribbons of gold and silver are hung along the walls as decorations. And there are people, many people like you. They are dressed in flowing robes and delicate gilded masks with narrow slits for eyes. The people are talking. They stand unexpectedly close to one another, their hands on each other's shoulders. You approach one of the groups, hoping to overhear the subject of the conversation. But you almost recoil when several arms reach out at once, attempt to grasp you tenderly by the shoulder. Stealing yourself, you put a hand on another person's forehead. The masked people seem friendly and genial. No one appears surprised by your insecurity. And their conversations are also quite out of the ordinary. You hear unfamiliar names, names that could belong to legendary heroes of old, or to the people here who have taken them as secret identities. You hear mentions of books you do not know and emotions they felt while reading them. Your conversations feel like a strange dream. You hear several voices singing in a far-off corner of the room. There are no lyrics to the song, each voice maintains its own note. Together, these voices form a tender, softly aching melody. It feels enrapturing, it spirits you away. You feel so distant now from the purpose of your visit, so withdrawn from the judge's trade, so far away from the Empire and from your very self. A hand touches your shoulder, bringing you back to your senses. A pair of familiar eyes look at you intently from behind a glinting greenish-silver mask. You belong to Octavia. You pull back and bow to the Archduke's daughter. I believe I recognize the man behind this mask. I never expected to see you here today, my extraordinary human. But I must behave here. We best do the same. We are not alone. It would be best if we are not seen too close to one another. As for this place, Sir Brante, allow me to explain. This is my circle of Latari. Before you ask, no, we do not plot, nor do we scheme. We have removed ourselves as far as possible from such machinations. This place is a little world of our own, a brief respite from tradition and noble customs and other such fuss. Our gathering is but a pretense, a game of make-believe. We pretend we are neither nobles nor citizens of the Blessed Empire, nor humans nor Arctians, but the Latari. You know what this word means? I would not be surprised you have never heard of the Latari. These days, the people of Latari are mentioned only in rare historical works. Long before us, in an age when this land was fertile and green, the Latari lived upon the land that would become Magra. They were masters of a remarkable art. They could create worlds from nothing but their conscious minds. Many of these people come here for simple entertainment and a brief taste of freedom. Others seek a respite from the binding customs of the noble lot. Still others feel encumbered by their blood ties and ancestral obligations. Only here are we fully free from the burden of our past and our present. Yet some among us seek more than brief moments of freedom. They are drawn here by a fascination with the Latari, and their idea that our entire existence can be shaped by the mind alone. We strive to know the Latari people for ourselves. We strive to continue their teachings. We strive to become them. If we happen to master the art of shaping worlds from our own minds, we may yet break free of the trap that is this harsh existence. Surprised at this, you ask her why she is telling you this so openly. No, some lag. She knows that the same rituals of extinct races are held in the same regard as magic and punishable as such. In response to your question, Octavia suddenly takes off her golden mask and reveals a slight smile on her once hidden face. May your face ne'er speak words of deceit. Great shame lies the path of untruth. Where an Arcanian lies, where a human denies, the Latari speak truly forsooth. I'm unafraid. The truth of the Latari matters more to me than any persecution. You came here in secret and wearing a mask, which means the prefecture has taken an interest in my little gathering. But I'm confident you will describe this as an innocent club of young nobles and keep our fragile world from prying eyes and ears. You do this for me, Ryan Brante. These words spoken by Octavia sound more like an assertion than a question. But you are in no hurry to respond. Your thoughts are tangled, lost among the echoing voices, fluid motions, and transcendent music. This gathering is in violation of the law, this you cannot deny. All rituals of extinct races were banned at the foundation of the Empire. You may summon the gendarmes here at any moment. You need only give a sign to the driver, and when they get here, the circle of Latari will be gone in an instant. You will prove to the city that not even the most noble of its denizens are above the law. But Octavia will never forgive you. You could, on the other hand, keep the circle of Latari a secret from Melbourne and report this meeting as a harmless gathering of young nobles looking for an opportunity to socialize. But if the secret chancellery ever takes interest in these meetings, you will be powerless. Someone has already reported Octavia's circle to the prefecture. There's a very good chance these reports will continue. Perhaps if you tell Octavia the danger she is facing, she will disband the circle itself. There is one more way you could resolve this predicament. With a piece of paper, some ink, and a bit of skill, the Circle of Latari could become a noble historical society, one of many dozen in Anazon alone, legitimized by the city. Octavian's gatherings remain a secret within this mansion. Do you have enough influence to make this possible? Would it be wise to spend it in this way? Say something, right? This is no time to be quiet. The great mystery of Latari is about to begin. Alright, so if I say yes, ooh. Ooh. Keep the secret. Yes. And get justice. We legitimize it. We get our diplomacy up, man. And wealth. You chuckle, shaking your head. How quaint. A group of nobles hiding from sight, wearing masks, studying the culture of a long-dead race. Has Lady Octavia never considered taking her historical studies a bit more seriously? Octavia's eyes narrow, trying to discern the meaning behind your words. There is a way to make the meetings of the circle fully legitimate, you continue. You have enough influence to get the papers they need and have them signed by the right people. Octavia's face lights up. She continues your half-finished thought right away. Indeed, my dear Sir Brante. Welcome to a meeting of our Imperial Historical Society. Surely you would be so kind as to procure us a proper plaque for the door. You nod with a genial smile. Octavia extends her hand to you. You take it and kiss it gently. If only we were alone so I could show you the full extent of my gratitude. But the great mystery of the night is about to begin. You should leave us. It will bring danger upon the circle if you're seen coming here again. Just get those papers prepared right away, kind Ryan. The members of the circle are already gathering in the middle of the room, ready to begin their mysterious ritual. You feel dozens of eyes on you from behind the gilded masks. They will not begin until you leave the circle. Following Lady Octavia's suggestions, you change into your noble clothes and leave the mansion. The next day, you report to Elborn and put his concerns to rest. There was no sign whatsoever of any noble plot. The group is nothing but a historical society run by several young nobles who meet to discuss the cultures of old. They simply lack legitimacy. You can rectify that. This sounds suspicious, Brante, and the Archduke's daughter is involved. I hope you know what you're doing. Either way, I'm glad we didn't sick the gendarmes on them. I hope the Secret Chancellery and Sir Elfaro never learn of those reports. I doubt the advisor would be as tolerant of their youthful amusements. You assure the prefect that Lady Octavia's Historical Society will have all the permits they need to operate without arousing suspicion. And so the Anazat Historical Society for the Study of Ancient Peoples is founded. The City Hall wastes no time approving the necessary paperwork. Every official there knows that Judge Brante is a respectable gentleman with friends in high places. Your busy patrons pay no heed to the follies of young nobles. Octavia sends you her reward in the form of a letter. When you open the envelope to read it, a gilded key clinks onto the floor. Ryan, I am impressed by your abilities. You know how to use your connections and bring me joy. It pleases me to know that I was right about you. A chest matching this key will be delivered to your estate tonight. Farewell, Ryan. It'll be some time before we meet again. I have much to do on my own. You cannot help but think of Octavia and those who followed her. They have dared to reject their nature, lot. Their nature, lot, and birth in an attempt to become something else entirely. Do they have what it takes to cast off the shackles of their existence? Or are they nothing but men who yearn for the impossible? As for Octavia and her circle of Loterie, you hear nothing of them for a long time. After that night, the Archduke's daughter seems to vanish from the social circles of Anazat. She has never been one to tell you about her plans. Your encounters with her have ended as abruptly as they had begun. I hope that doesn't mean we're never sees us again. Well, we're one away from being a masterful diplomat. But we still need to get our authority up or whatever it was. Rumors are running wild in Anazat. People say that a mysterious clandestine society called the Last Straw holds the entire of the city's seedy underbelly in its clutches, with men in safe houses all over Anazat plotting and scheming against the nobles and the rulers of the province. Their leader is a woman, a ruthless criminal by the name of Sophia. She has evaded all attempt to capture her. The common people both fear the Last Straw and sympathize with their cause. If the rumors are true, the city finally has someone who will stop at nothing to help the people claim their rights. But who would support the secret organization, and how did the insurgents manage to survive this long? No one in the city knows the answers. Magistrate Alverman must assuage the people's fears once again. The vile mutineers and heretics who call themselves the Last Straw will be caught and executed very soon, and anyone who has given them money and shelter will meet the same fate. The Secret Chancellor will care of that. But even facing a manhunt, the Last Straw still endures. Slowly but surely, the influence of this underground organization is spreading throughout the city. You're in the middle of ascending the city hall's long, curved marble staircase. A small man beneath the building's towering vault. You were suddenly visited that night by messengers from Magistrate Alverman. They insisted the reason was most urgent. You're already expected upstairs. There is a deafening silence in the lavishly decorated corridors, your footsteps the only noise you can hear. Finally, you enter the spacious room that is the office of a vermin. A stately official of considerable age. You find him sitting in his comfortable chair of carved wood. He acknowledges your presence with a nod. However, the magistrate is not alone. By the window of the office stands a tall Archnean. The cape of the Imperial Legion covers his shoulders. He is Darius Otten, the commander of Magra in the flesh. He does not even bother to turn around and look at you. The magistrate gestures to you formally, beckoning you closer. Judge Brante, you have come at last. Sir Otten has been eagerly awaiting your arrival. You see, the commander has learned about a litigation being prepared against him at the prefecture. He demanded that an end be put to these machinations at once. I humbly offered him my assistance. Slowly, Otten turns to face you. He eyes you with cold contempt. Brante, you again. So you've been chosen to oversee this so-called case against me. I don't envy you. I will be brief. I will not stand idly by in the face of slander and baseless accusations. Give me your word of honor as a nobleman that you will do everything in your power to put a stop to this litigation. Only then will you be free to leave. I'll treat any other answer as an insult against my noble lineage, and let it be known that Sir Vermin holds many positions, such as the chairman's seat at the Court of Honor, which means that any insult will be soon followed by a legitimate duel of honor. I'm sure you know full well how others have fared in duels against me. Otten turns toward the window before you say anything, as if your answer has already been heard. Magistrate Vermin watches Otten and you. Whoa. Talking so much has made me sneeze. Magistrate Vermin watches Otten and you silently with a mysterious smirk. You stand before the two lords of the city, a young man only recently ennobled by the mantle. Any word that leaves your lips now will affect your fate. Thank you, Tirada. Bless my throat so he can not hurt. If we give him our word, our career and justice go down, so that's a fucking no. We fucking die. Oh, we fucking lie to him. Good thing we're a fucking manipulator, fucking hell. Defying Otten's will now means facing true death by his sword, and your family will be left to suffer next. You have no choice but to lie and mislead the enraged Archnean, doing what you can to mollify him. And so you bow deeply and speak as meekly as you can. Indeed, you say His Excellency has every right to feel wronged by the prefecture. There is indeed a folder with his name on it in the archives, but you do not seek to besmirch Otten's honorable name. No, quite the contrary. You have merely been told to investigate slanderous rumors of illegal duels, and so far you have found no evidence that could tarnish the honor of the commander of Magra. It is true that Sir Otten is an impeccable master of the sword, and no opponent can duel him without suffering a lesser death. But His Excellency had every right to duel whomever he chooses. You, on the other hand, are but a humble servant of the law. To you, even the thought of initiating litigation against an Archnean lord is simply unthinkable. Who would ever seek to judge guilty those who have been chosen by the gods themselves to rule over the rest of the empire? Quit your groveling, Brante. I don't need to waste my time on a duel to see you're no threat to me. So much the better for me, then. The Archduke is expecting me already. But pray to the twins, if I ever hear even a word of this so-called case ever again. Farewell. Otten quickly walks out of the magistrate's office. Once his cape has disappeared down the long corridor, Vermin turns to you with a smile of approval. I see you're getting more and more accustomed to knowing your place, Brante. The likes of you are always a perfect fit in the ranks of power, even if you will never reach the very top once again. I am most pleased to have you with us. You leave the city hall with a heavy heart. Thorborn wants Otten's case to progress, and so it will, no matter how much you have to bluff and delude those in power. Otten's sword will continue to loom over you until his case comes to an end. Otten's case still looms over you, a burden and a threat. As the strife between the estates grows more bitter, the judge's trade grows tougher by the day. The commoners demand more rights and legal protections, the nobles do their best to push back. As things stand right now, any verdict made in court may result in upheaval in the province, and possibly determine the outcome of your case against Otten. One day in a park by the Falaise estate, favored by dueling and Azat nobles, you see a curly-haired young man lying prone in the small sunlit square. His body has been pierced by a sword, and it has not vanished. Death. You are here to investigate a report of an illegal duel. The winner is still here, a slender middle-aged noble in an elegant black jacket. his hand still on the hilt of his sword, surrounded by gendarmes. Your orders, Your Honor? Sir Alcorvio will not submit on his own, and we wouldn't dare use force against him. You sign for the gendarmes to lower the weapons and approach the duelist. Alcorvio's eyes widen and his face comes to life when he notices you. Before you can ask him, the nobleman begins to speak far louder than necessary. It was a duel sanctioned by the Court of Honor, that is all. The late Sir Aleste questioned my loyalty to the Emperor and called me an apostate. He left me no other choice but to defend my honor, and now he is dead. Please be quick with your verdict, Sir Judge. I'm expected at the capital. You do know who I am, don't you? Before you can say a single word, a carriage bearing the crest of Magistrate Alverman rolls through the gate. The magistrate furrows his silvery brow as he looks at the sorrowful scene, then gestures politely for Alcorvio to approach his carriage. With a chuckle, the duelist walks through the line of gendarmes and leans on the carriage. Meanwhile, the magistrate takes you aside for a moment. Brante, as you know, I am the chairman of our city's Court of Honor. I refused to sanction this duel for as long as I could since true death was on the line. But Alan Alcorvio insisted that denying him would spell trouble for the city of Anazot. Regrettably, he's a small yet important person in the Emperor's court. He used to command the Emperor's personal guard. I realize that you must mete out justice as your duty demands, but remember, duels of honor are one of the cornerstones of imperial tradition, one of the pillars that support the twins' divine vision for the Empire. You have the authority to punish Alcorvio, but be careful. He might make a dangerous enemy both for yourself and for all the nobles of Anazot. That fool Aleste didn't know this, and now he's lying there before us. It would be wise not to repeat his mistake. The Magistrate of Anazot glances around, then continues in a hushed tone. Brante, this situation is far from ordinary. If the fate of your city means anything to you, it would be best to let Alcorvio go without a trial. Anazot doesn't need any trouble from the capital, and the Alestes are not as strong as they used to be. We'll get through it. You may fine him if you wish. Alcorvio will pay it and move on, and justice will be done, at least to some extent. However, if you can diffuse the matter entirely, you'll earn favor with all the aristocracy of Anazot, and I'll personally see to it you get a swift promotion. Keep in thought, you gaze upon the body of the dead duelist in the long shadow of El Corvio. The decision you are about to make could influence all future deals in the province, as well as your own standing. Fuck. If I do this... Justice goes up by 1. And I gain money. If I get justice up by 1. But it said here that with evidence against Auten, sends him to capital punishment. Oh, making the move. You shake your head dispassionately, enunciating every word with perfect precision. You explain the situation to Alverman. A murder in a duel is still a murder, and the punishment for murder is execution. You do not have the right to distort the law. The magistrate's face falls in surprise. Brante, you don't seem to realize how the world works. I just told you Alcorvio plays an important role in the Emperor's court. Are you really so eager to make enemies? You're about to. No connections will protect you if you're so intent upon trampling ancient noble traditions. It seems Alverman is not aware that you have friends in very high places. You tell him in turn. The Archduke's family will readily side with you. The magistrate dashes to Alcorvio, fuming with rage at your words. Alcorvio, this is a terrible misunderstanding. I'll do everything I can to right this wrong, but these good sirs mean to have you arrested. You give the gendarmes a firm order. Seize the murderer's sword, shackle him, and take him to the prefecture. You dare call me a murderer? Doesn't anyone in your filthy, decrepit province know the meaning of a duel? Alcorvio draws his sword and assumes a defensive stance, startling the gendarmes with such a fervent refusal to comply. You start giving orders to the gendarmes. Following your orders, they managed to surround and disarm Alcovrio. You head for the prefecture to take care of the paperwork and send a message to Octavia. You ask your powerful benefactress to convince the Aristarcher to side with you in ordering the death penalty for Alcovrio. He is a complete outsider, Magra, right? Who happened to murder the heir to the ancient bloodline of Aleste. Surely Octavia can aid her humble servant in such a trifling matter. Her reply takes almost no time to arrive. Alcovrio is a staunch follower of the Tempest and the new Overseer. This puts him at great odds with my father. Removing him will be easy, especially if you have a proper case against him. Rest assured, Ryan, the Milonitis dynasty will side with you in this trial. As for the other nobles, have no fear. I will let no harm come to you, my dearest human. Alcovio's trial comes and goes incredibly quickly. The seats in the courtroom are absolutely empty. No noble risks appearing in defense of the visitor from Eterna and attracting the displeasure of Archduke Milonitis. One by one, you present evidence of Alcovio's guilt. The ill-fated noble visitor coldly spits out threats in return. The Board of Justice, presided over by Alborn, makes its final judgment. Sending a noble to the hereafter is never easy, but there are times when the court has no other way to instill respect for imperial law among those of the noble estate. Sir Alcovrio, we hereby sentence you to true death by decapitation. The sentence will be carried out in Majesty Square tomorrow. Alcovrio is silent, unwilling to believe in what has just happened. But the verdict has been made. Alcovrio is taken to the dungeon, the shackles still on his wrists. Tomorrow the city of Anazat will, for the first time, witness a noble being executed for a duel. The aristocracy of Anazat is indignant over your decision. They fear what might come next. And yet Alcovrio's shameful end on the executioner's block goes seemingly unnoticed in the capital. Soon, rumors begin to spread. Some say the beheaded nobleman was indeed a traitor to the crown. Why else would the Emperor's court ignore the beheading entirely? Or was it all the handiwork of Archduke Milonitis himself? Nope, I should have sided with Milonitis, shit. Soon after the execution, something arrives on your doorstep. Small, yet hefty chest with a note attached. Sir Brante, we realize how difficult it must have been for you to deliver this strict yet righteous verdict. We mourn the loss of our son, who transgressed against the law forbidding all duels. Yet justice has found his murderer thanks to you. Please accept this humble gift as a token of our gratitude. Sir Constance Aleste and Lady Margaret Aleste. Hell yeah. Uh-oh. And that's where we gotta end it for the night. At the hunt for Thomas. Dude, I am truly blown away by how much, how well written this game is. Yeah, like, yeah, they do have spelling mistakes and grammatical errors now and then, but like, that's to be expected from a indie developer game. Right, I think this is an indie developer. Yeah. Like, I think this is their first game. So, like, it's just impressive, honestly. I'm curious, though, really how much... It does feel like our choices are making a difference in how the story progresses. Especially us being locked out of certain choices because of previous decisions. I do like that. Don't think there's anyone to raid tonight on a Sunday. There is not. That's a shame. Yeah, this is... Oh, wait. Is Bishop still streaming? Yeah, like I'm certain there's a certain fun to it that if we if I were to, turn off, like, find out the consequences, I'm curious how a playthrough like that would be. Really how like I do not doubt that inherently Philip like, or what's the word? Subconsciously, that I am well, not even subconsciously. Some of the times I am definitely making decisions based on what I see the consequences are because I want to get certain points up. I'm curious how much a playthrough would change um, for me if I was going in blind and without and turning off the seeing the consequences of my actions. Bishop. Bishop is still live. Um, I just realized I do not have. God, this game. It is obviously everything could go fucking downhill by the end of it. But so far, I'm not getting that vibe that the game is going to go downhill like that. Um, so you know, do you guys want to watch some artwork being made? Bishop is currently doing art stuff. I think we should throw him some love. I've never rated him before, so we're gonna. Obviously, if you are part of good old Clay Frank's community, you know of Bishop. You see his name in the chat and whatnot. So I'd love it if you joined the raid here. Throw some love to our people in that community. That'd be cool. So yeah. Anything else I want to say? I feel like I wanted to say something else, but I'm like forgetting what to say. Anyways, I will probably be live tomorrow night. We will see. But yeah, thank you guys for showing up. I am loving the life and suffering of Sir Brante. So for now, you guys have a good rest of your night and enjoy the art stream. Peace.